Alan's got
And
taste.
we're live.
Like,
Yeah, so
I'll record it if you're going to be saying things.
it feels like, I mean, I think the stress of all these different cases has to get to you eventually. He just feels like he doesn't have the same swag he used to. I don't know. When I watched him today,
Think so? I heard
yeah.
people saying he could only do one rally a week. They think he can't handle it, but that sounded like wishful thinking.
Well,
And we
so
know he gets sleepy. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
yeah, the court takes Wednesdays and weekends off, so he could do
Do you know
something on
why?
Wednesdays.
I found out about the Wednesdays today.
Oh, I don't know why.
Oh, good.
Softball game?
No.
No. Why? Do
I'll
tell.
tell you in the show.
Okay.
Buzz will tell you.
Oh, okay.
Wait, go on with what you were saying.
Oh, yeah, it just, I don't know, he didn't seem to have that same larger than life quality to him, which he's had. That's sort of been
That's because
his
he's been on Ozempic.
maybe shrunk him down a little bit.
Yeah.
No, just literally his presence didn't seem as, I don't know. He's always had the most charisma in the room, mostly. Um,
Is.
and it just didn't feel like that when I was watching him today.
I believe you.
Maybe it's getting to
When
him.
were you watching him today? What environment did you see him?
So the case in New York, he comes out to the press out there, to the reporters, and gives them a couple of minute speech. And then I've seen a bunch of drawings of him in the courtroom,
And a
and
bunch
then
of drawings. They just don't look very hyped.
Yeah, and the description by prospective jurors of what it was like to see him also similar. Yeah.
Huh. I think I've got a little pre-show we can do.
Okay.
Listeners, so people that are hearing this now are you're in the Patreon. So what we're gonna do, as long as work doesn't screw over my schedule or anything like that, I think I always want to have like a little half hour before the show that'll be for you guys only on Patreon. And I've got an idea for a name for it.
Oh.
Do you remember? And I feel like punk did this more than anything, but do you remember when CDs were a thing and you can hold down the rewind button on the first track and there'd be like a secret track sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we should call this the secret track.
The secret track? I like it.
All right, so we'll have the secret track for the Patreon only, and eventually, I mean, we can do a little housekeeping right here. I mean, I I don't mean to like task you with things. I have these ideas and I never follow through on them, so I've started just sending them to you, and like you've been doing them, so I'm gonna keep sending things to you. I was like, we should have an audio. Well, we should have an area on the website that you can only access with a password. And inside that area is all of the like MP3s, because people were saying if you don't have YouTube Premium, then the video doesn't stay playing when you turn your screen off. So there should be like an MP3 people can download so they can listen to the pre-show.
So as of right now, I can't do that through our website. I can do it through Patreon.
Well, that's
So
fine. It's for the
yeah,
Patreons.
yeah.
Okay.
So when you post the audio clip of the feed on the Patreon, I'll be able to create a private RSS feeds for all the Patreon members through that.
So I would post the video as usual, and then
Actually, I would say
post
just the audio. Just post the audio.
No.
You want to post the video?
What do you wait, hold on. On the Patreon?
Yeah.
The main thing with the Patreon is the video. This is
the video
to supplement that for people that can't watch the video but want to still
without pausing it. Okay. Well, let's do both.
That's what I'm saying. So I'll do a separate post of the audio only.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And then that's within the Patreon. So that should play.
Yep.
So, okay. All right. Well, that works. Wait, hold on. Let me look over at the Patreon. So from the home on Patreon, create audio.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's easy. I can do that.
And then we just set up. There's a way through Patreon to create RSS feeds that are private within.
Yeah, but we don't even need that if that's there. I mean, I can just post.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. That's actually fair. Yeah.
Yeah. It's easier.
Yeah. Okay.
It's one less thing to do.
Sure.
Well, I have an audio to start the pre-show. Nameless sent this in. Oh, by the way, Nameless just joined the Patreon. I suppose we can say his name since nobody knows, but we'll just keep it that way. If you
Hell yeah.
notice someone new in there, that's the person that wants
Welcome,
to
brother.
keep their big time job. Don't let their love of none taking get in the way of their income. So
Sure. We wouldn't want that to happen.
no. So yeah, this is some stand-up that I'm okay not putting on the big show. This is for people that like us enough to pay to join. So this is Tyler Fisher.
Okay.
It's some Lizzo jokes.
Oh, it's not presenting.
I'm not presenting.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
There we go.
Right. Yeah. Hey, if you ever see me just sitting here drinking a beer, feel free to say it loudly.
Anyone still shooken up from that earthquake? Did you guys know that wasn't actually a real earthquake? Turns out Lizzo was just landing at Newark Airport. I know. So that's good news, I guess. Yeah. Okay, all right. You didn't like that. Let's do something
It's only
fun.
a 4.0.
The eclipse. The eclipse is coming up, huh? That's exciting. Turns out it's not an eclipse. Lizzo's just going to be standing in front of the sun. 30 minutes. All right, some other news. Did you see the engine peeled off the plane today?
Oh.
Turns out Lizzo just leaned on the engine before she got on. So crisis averted. Planes are falling apart. That engine came off a couple weeks ago. A door blew off an airplane. Did you see that? If you're obese now, you get 2 seats for free too, which is a little unfair. I got a solution for all this. I say any row where there's a door that could blow off, you put the fatties, right? If that thing blows off, just. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your captain speaking. You may have noticed one of our doors has blown up the aircraft mid-flight. It looks like Lizzo and row 5 did plug up the door pretty well, so we're going to go ahead and repressurize the cabin and continue.
This guy's doing all this at the fucking Comedy Cellar in New York, man. Like, that's... But we get a negative review for saying the R word once.
Oh man, yeah, it's not fair, man. Those jokes pretty much all were pretty easy to see coming. Like,
yes, yeah. The third one not that funny. Actually, most of them weren't that funny. It was just it was funny that he was saying all of that.
Yeah.
Let's dissect it more. Let's dissect some really simple comedy. That's fun.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Here's another one. I have another SNL clip already set up for the show, so we'll just burn this one here. Who sent it? I have that. No, I found it myself. We'll go with that.
An Indiana woman was arrested after she drove her car into a building because she thought it was a, quote, Israel school. Well, that's why they don't let women drive in the Middle East.
Parking.
I'm warming up. That wasn't the right screen. Let's see. Where do I go for the screen? Over here.
I am disabled.
Oh.
I'm on the internet. Say it to my face.
There we go. Got it. Do you want to hear a classic Alex Jones ramble?
Sure.
Kevin sent this.
Those are always fun.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's admitted. Diebold
Oh, wow.
engineers have quit and said it's all a fraud. All these other big companies have had problems. Why the CIA, has former directors and deputy directors on the boards of these companies. There's electronic modems in them, wireless. Shut up! God, he's not a God, he knows stuff. He's talking. I just want to eat cheeseburgers and be an idiot. Please get him out.
Wow. He was so young there.
He was. Look at all that hair.
That had to be like 25 years ago or something.
I thought he said iPhones, but I don't know. That's old footage. Like that
is old footage.
Yeah,
you could tell.
Low res. Okay.
Still crazy as ever.
When I first saw this, I was like, okay, it's a joke. And then towards the end, I'm like, wait, is it real? And then I watched it again before the show, and I don't know anymore. This is either real or like a top 10 bit. So this is more for the Patreon. This is Patreon only anyway. So this is video. See a guy holding a baggie with a Lego inside of it.
And that's the good shit. You can see right there, man. That'll get you where you need to go. You can see that's authentic, straight up. But this shit, this is not authentic. Yep. And
And so he's got bags and bags of Legos, and he says it's coming across our border every day. I'm like, it's a joke about like Legos coming across, and then you're like, well, I mean, I guess like
It's saying
remember how
there's
the
like,
Colombians were made all those things out of cocaine to sneak it in.
mm-hmm.
They put it in like the Coca-Cola, and then they like redistilled it back down to get it out of it.
I do remember that. Yeah.
you already know about the China Grays. You know, they'll be like, oh, how's those Chinese fucking bricks get there or whatever? And is it from China? And it's like, nah, it's from fucking Mexico straight to Miami inside a fucking Fruity Pebbles fucking box. You could tell they fucking glued it. If somebody actually checked this, they could probably
I feel like he's they.
tell. But look, I mean, that they might think, okay, yeah, that's pretty good, but... Woo! There we go. And these are all real Legos, so basically, we sell bags of the shit. So that looks like what we got here. So, you put one of these for every two of these and then make that shit last a lot longer. And that...
What? Is he saying they're knockoff Legos, or is he saying there's drugs?
He's saying it's fentanyl.
That was a weird video, man. I don't know.
Look, I'm not saying I believe it, but I'm just saying like it lingers.
Did he ever say it was fentanyl? I didn't hear that. Is he just saying it in the
Because
post?
it's coming across the border every day. You think it's just knockoff Legos?
I mean, that's the way I took it. I don't know.
I look in the comments. Size day one of seeing Lego Cartel Graham. Waiting for the damn. We got Lego Cartel before GTA 6. Stepped on Legos. Oh, stepped on like cocaine. That's pretty good. That's a good stepped on joke.
That is pretty good. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Let's go over to some of our unused ones. Burn through some of these. I feel like I played this already. My note on it says, "How does this keep coming up so much?"
Solved. I don't think it has a right to exist.
And guys with what name? Pound it the best.
Did we play this?
It sounds familiar, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. I think girls pound it the best, honestly.
Really? Or do you like pegging or just scissoring?
I mean, if you want to pick, then pick,
How many girl and girls end in have some kind of strap on?
I mean, I don't know if I can put a number on it, but I'd say a large majority, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Any tips for an aspiring Peggy?
Patience and lube. Israel should be dissolved.
Didn't you
I don't
say
think
that?
it has
Didn't you say that on the show? Did you say patience, libations, and lube?
I said something like that. Yes. I don't remember the context.
You weren't talking about that.
We weren't.
It just sounded like we were talking about that. All right.
I don't think we played that clip before.
Okay.
After hearing the whole thing. Yeah.
This seems related. My note is Little Dick Club. So,
At least.
oh yeah, this is. I never played this because it was too much visual, but this is perfect for the Patreon only.
Yeah, yeah.
So watch this fucking ginger monster talk about dicks.
You know how big 12 inches is. Do you see that? Just in scale, where is that going? Not in here, okay? The average gal is gonna get about that much. Maybe this, if they're a pro, but the rest of that, completely unmanageable. This is the biggest I've ever seen in real life, but this is fine. It's completely fine. This, fabulous. Almost too big. Definitely too big. Fucking sick day. ER 27 club, and now I'm just skipping my next life.
27 club.
Anything after that is entirely unethical. I don't think we know what we're talking about.
Unethical.
Unethical. An unethical dick.
The Ethics of Dick Size by Sam Harris.
Yeah. What's this? $3.
Oh, God.
Trader Joe's is funny. I could be buying this bottle of wine, this $3 bottle of wine, and the cashier would still be like, "What you got going on this weekend?" Bro, this is $3. What do you think I got going on this weekend? Crying and writing some poetry. Right. Trader Joe's is funny.
Oh, is it okay? Yeah. You see why I didn't go in the show. Okay, fine. Sure.
I know sold it. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Is that a phrase?
Yeah.
What's going on with Yeah Mad?
You sent me that post today. I don't know. I haven't kept up on them recently. They usually would just pop up in my feed on YouTube, and that's where I would find them, but they haven't been popping up recently. So I don't know what's going on. I
Oh.
guess there's some swap out of some of the characters on the show. I don't know.
W
Hamo said
that
that he's
is
not
Hamo
been
the
in it.
guy that does the life advice that we play?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Some of those seem really new.
Yes, some of those are.
Huh. Well, I'm sure they
Um,
filmed those all at once. It's not like they
but
sat
he's
down to do it.
so everybody on that show is, at least to my knowledge, does stand-up comedy as well.
Right.
Hamo's a pretty big, I think, in Australia. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on over there.
Okay. I've got Norm in the big show, so I'll save that. Oh, this is good. This guy speaks Spanish, but he sings the blues in perfect English. So you're gonna hear a bunch of people talking in Spanish, and then he's gonna say, "Well, here's an example of the blues."
Você não fala inglês? Eu não falo nada de inglês. Inclusive, eu estava aqui fazendo o festival de blues.
Mas você canta em inglês?
Eu canto em inglês.
Mas como é que você faz? Você decora pelo som?
Eu decoro porque eu escuto música americana o dia inteiro, né?
American music all day.
E a vida inteira eu sempre ouvi
Blues também.
blues, jazz, funk, rhythm and blues, reggae, essas coisas. Né?
Agora, você teve um festival de blues.
So
E
does
você
he
cantou
know
o
the
quê?
words he's saying?
Cantei
or just-
blues.
Bluesão. Qual é que você
Bluesão.
cantou?
Sei lá, posso tocar aqui
Dá uma palhinha só.
Toquei uma música que chama Blues and Lonesome, do Little Walter. I'm blue and lonesome. Lord, as any way could be.
Like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen a chick so into a 300-pound man before.
I'm blue and lonesome.
Let's get yourself a guitar.
Lost any way could be.
Incredible.
Oh, my heart is a misery, and you just oh let me breathe. Oh,
Você não...
It's pretty
That's
wild.
incredible, man.
Yeah. Dude, I've been playing the sax more. I cannot find the sheet music for the lead on a tenor sax of Bring It On Home to Me by Sam Cooke. And I'm not good enough yet to just like pick things up and play them by ear. But over the weekend, I kind of figured out like the da 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 and the da 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 da, and I can kind of like mess around on it, but like you know, I can't play the fucking song.
just know the
It drives me
actual notes.
crazy. I can't find like how is that not like that's a very famous song. Like you think
Yeah.
that should be available, and I can't find it anywhere. But
When you find that stuff, do you usually have to pay for it, or is it just a free?
yeah, I think
download?
so. Okay, I did see one that was $15, and it's like I'm not paying $15 for the sheet music for one song.
Yeah.
And it also went like I could see a sample of it, and I was like, that's not quite how I want to be playing it. So I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes the arrangement's not quite right on some of that sheet music.
Yeah.
I remember when I played piano, I used to buy sheet music of like popular music that I liked. Like I remember I had I had My Heart Will Go On, the Titanic sleep.
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
I remember buying that.
Like learn to play.
Yeah.
Like
It was
an
actually
immediate song, probably, right?
Yeah, it was actually pretty fun. I don't think it was that much money though. I was buying like actual paper sheet music.
Right. Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I
go to
know.
the music
It's like
store and like flip through it. It was
Yeah. Take a picture. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think of that. we didn't have cameras in our pockets then.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Did I play that Mitch Hedberg, Artie Lang?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I played Norm Macdonald with the birth of his son. So let me just delete
Yes,
those.
we played that.
And I did the guitar riffs. Okay, let's see. I got an Isn't That Something to play. Oh, I don't know if you could hear my tummy, but it growled.
Oh, I didn't hear it. No.
Play with social media.
No din yet.
No, I did. Just a
Okay.
little din. Only one din.
One din.
Yeah.
I almost had a hot dog before the show, but I was like, nah, I don't need that.
Were you at Costco?
No, I got some in the fridge, just regular, Angus ones.
Yeah, Angus.
Yeah.
Pepper your Angus.
Angus. the AC/DC guitar players.
Oh yeah,
Angus.
yeah, Angus Young.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll just play one more. Should
Okay.
we?
So I thought we were only doing this on Thursdays, but I'm down to do it both days.
Yeah. So what I feel like when because the show's always long, and it's
Mhm.
because there's things that probably could have been moved out of the show. So I've tried
Trying
to
to distill it more.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know
I was
what?
hanging out with
Go ahead.
I was hanging out with Tim and Allison over the weekend, and Tim was like, "Dude, I can't believe how many shows you guys do, how much like content you guys put out." And I was like, "I know, it's quite a bit."
Is it too much?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we're
know our
doing good,
shows are
man.
so long. I feel like it's hard to get new people to listen to it just because it's like I'm not listening to a 3-hour show, but
Sure.
whatever.
But I mean, if they listen to, the
It's
first
in
20
segments.
minutes,
Like we literally
yeah,
have segments for. Is that what
yeah,
you're gonna say?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me play this. This will be better. This will end the little secret track, and then we'll get to the main show. I do have to go get a beer real quick, so let me
Okay.
play this. We'll we'll towel off, and we'll start a show.
Telling a bar I'm stuck in their dumpster.
Grub Pub.
Hey, is this pub?
Yeah, it's Grub Pub.
Hey, could you come let me out of the dumpster?
Pardon me?
I thought this was the dumpster next door. I thought this was the store, but the lid's stuck. Can you come get me out of the dumpster?
You're in our dumpster?
This is the Grub Pub, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the dumpster.
The one in the back?
Yeah, the lid closed on me and it looks like really dirty. I don't want to touch it. Can you just come lift it for me?
What were you doing? Were you like in there dumpster diving, or how the hell did you get in our dumpster?
I just climbed in. I wasn't dumpster diving. I was like, I don't want to be crude. It's kind of embarrassing. I don't have a bathroom, so I poop in here, but in a bag. I always close it and leave it in here. Sorry.
Hey, I got a bad back and a gag reflex, so I don't know if I can help pull you out of it. Are you a big girl?
I'm a little fat, yeah.
Tommy. Some big
Why is he
fat chick
asking so
fell
many
in the dumpster.
questions?
Can you go help her get out?
Alan, you talked right over the best part, and
Oh,
I
I'm
can't
sorry.
rewind it.
Damn it.
Because Tommy, some big fat chick fell in the dumpster. Can you go help her out?
Yeah, Derek, go help her. There's a girl stuck in the dumpster. I ain't shitting you.
I shit a little bit, though.
I don't know. She's in the. It's the only girl going to be in that dumpster.
Telling a bar I'm stuck.
That's hilarious.
All right. Yeah, that's good. We'll leave it at that. We'll come back.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end these. Well, nothing's
I think
ended.
that's fine.
We'll talk
Yeah.
to you guys in just a minute.
Yeah.
All right. BRB.
Cool.
That paused. That's paused. Should I leave the video rolling?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Hey, buddy. Hi, handsome. Thanks, baby.
Figured I'd top up myself while you were out.
Nice. Hold on.
I can't hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you are.
I thought I just paused the recording,
Uh-huh.
but it did capture all of that. I mean, the video's there, which is what matters.
Right.
Audio was just extra. Okay.
Okay.
Let me double check now that I've fucked with my settings. Zoom. Okay, everything's good. What do you use to shave your balls? Use like a buzzer or a razor?
I use a razor.
You were gonna say a straight razor.
I almost said straight razor. No, I just use regular razor.
Do you use like a regular, like a 3-blade razor or like a safety razor?
I use Harry's. I use the same
Is it
one.
like yeah, but is that a? I don't
It's
buy
the same one you use on your face. Yeah.
Yeah, but I use a safety razor. I use like an old school where it's only got a blade on each side. It's like
no, I go the 4 or 5 bladers, dude.
I like the safety razor. Every once in a while, I've got one of those Norelco, the green and black ones that you can like. I think it's good for edging. Oh, great! Now the soundboard doesn't work because that would have been great. Yeah, sometimes I'll use that, but every time I use that, I get itchy afterwards, like the next day. If I use like a regular razor, I don't get itchy.
I think because when you use that, it leaves a little bit of stubble.
Or it like pulls it, I think too. So I think it irritates.
That could be too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't I've never used anything electric down there. I've always used manual.
I feel like there's drawbacks to both, right? Like
yeah, for
you
sure.
take a sharp razor in the wrong direction, that's a bad day. But you can also get things jammed in there. There's a lot of small ridges, the nutsack does a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's weird skin,
And razor bumps
like
sometimes.
your elbow.
It is kind of like your ween. Is that what's called? Ween?
It is your weenus, yeah.
Weenus, yeah.
Yes, Alan.
Thanks for showing me your weenus.
Listeners.
I didn't. It's a nice weenus, man.
What does that look? That looks like a nutsack, right?
Totally. This is the highbrow humor you came here.
Yeah. I probably should have started the. Oh shit! It's Truck Month. Did you know it's Truck Month?
Oh shit!
Yeah. Hell yeah! You doing anything for Truck Month?
I don't have any plans. I'll have to figure that out.
I don't have any plans either.
When is Happy Honda Days? That's
October. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
October. Pagans? No. Well, both are kind of pagan. Yeah. I'm gonna talk about that.
Hey, what's your favorite secret track now that we're calling that the Patreon extra?
Did you like Less Than Jake?
Yeah.
Do you remember Less Than Jake had a secret track that it wasn't a song? It was telling a story about banging this married chick and her husband comes home and he's like hiding under the bed. And he's like telling this story and he's like, and Al, the guy's name is Al. I can hear everything get quiet. So I sneak out and I'm getting ready to leave. And I'm about to walk past the bathroom. And Al, the pig, is sitting there taking a shit with the door wide open. So I go running down the stairs, balls going, as he talks about. And then like he finishes the story and he goes, "This is the old dude, RJ Reynolds, and you're listening to Less Than Jake." And then it goes into the first track. That's probably my favorite secret track.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Mine is Poe.
Pig.
Mine's way less funny. Mine's Poe, Fly Away.
Come pig. Sorry.
Come pig.
Al the pig.
Come pig.
Sorry.
That was fun.
What's yours?
Oh, Poe, Fly Away. Fly Away, sweet bird of prey. You know that one? No.
No. I know the song that Nelly Furtado did about ecstasy, that Being a Bird song. That was about ecstasy. Did you know that?
Was it really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. Every time I hear it, I'm like, oh yeah. I don't know who Poe is.
You would know. You would recognize the music. It was like a 90s, almost like a Cranberry style kind of band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can I play an opening song? Opening clip?
Track? Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Y'all let me.
Did that work? But did you hear that?
I didn't hear that. No.
Oh, why is it not? Oh man, Alan, I had it timed and everything.
Oh.
Well,
I was waiting for you to find it. I was like,
yeah,
where's it
I
coming?
appreciate it. I'm not mad at you. I like to blame you when I don't my buttons right.
There you go. All right, here we are.
Hey, girl, what you know about some fentanyl? Fentanyl is D in your mouth.
Don't let me in this damn house.
Should we hit record?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3. All right, you ready?
I am ready. Are you recording?
Yes. All right. So you want to start a show?
Let's start a show.
That podcast is filling your head with garbage.
No offense taken there.
Well, it sounds like none taken.
Ask your mama, she'll say the same thing. I got all the ways, I just ain't got the means.
Boom. Welcome to episode number 358 of Not Taken, the internet's only debate and current events show. Your host, Dustin and Al. Two political nomads from two different worlds. Shout out to Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band for the use of their song Ways and Means for intro music. Thank you for joining us. Time of this recording, it is Tuesday, April 16th, 2024. It's a great day for America. We are two coastal elites coming to you from the shores of the mighty Cumberland in Madison, Tennessee, all the way to the Pacific waters of El Cerrito, California. Here to recap another week of current events and sharing way too much of our tragic personal life and taking a sledgehammer to the culture war echo chambers. Please subscribe right now wherever you're listening to this. And if you like what you're hearing, please, if this has meant anything to you, head over and give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening to this on. They all have a little option. You can do that. It helps new people find our show. A couple other things. So that's like simplest thing, costs you nothing. If you want things that do cost you something, you can head over to nunetaken. Nunetakenpod.com. All the links are nunetakenpod.com. There's a thing down there. If you can't remember nunetakenpod.com, you can probably remember trumpgags.com. Trumpgags.com will get you to the Patreon. That's where you can sign up. $3 a month, $9 a month, $18 a month. Shout out to newest Patreon patron, Nameless. Guy's got a good job. Let's keep it that way. Keep his name off the radar.
Yeah.
And yeah, with if you join the Patreon, you'll get all of the extras and you'll see the video. So a lot of these clips we play, I try to get stuff where the audio is going to be good for you. Sometimes I can't help it. There's something that's got to be a video. The video is always going to enhance it too. So you get to see all of that when you're on the. We're also going to start putting. So we did it today. We did it last week. We start recording about a half hour earlier. We call that the secret track, like on CDs back in the 90s, where you rewind the first track and you get all the bonus track there. So we got the bonus track at the beginning of the show that's Patreon only. Yeah, and there'll just be more that we keep adding to that. We want you guys to get a good value out of joining there. Join the Patreon at trumpgags.com or find the link on nunetakenpod.com. Alan, do other things?
Don't forget to support the people that support us. Slickitsdigital.com for all your SEO and marketing needs. Slickitsdigital.com.
And what if you don't have any shirts in your life?
You can head to our merch store, fungiblenuntakens.com. Or
no, that's too difficult. Nobody knows how to spell fungible.
Nuntakenpod.com. The link's there. Or use butt plugs.
Pre-owned butt plugs.
Pre-owned butt plugs.com.
Used.
Oh,
Makes
God.
it sound cheap when you say used. Like
I know, right? Okay, pre-owned. It's been they've done the 21-point inspection. Yeah.
Gently used. Pre-loved, but pre-owned buttplugs.com. Yeah, just go to nuntakenpod.com.
They still have a year or two left on the manufacturer's warranty. So it's good. It's good.
Yes, yeah. Our certified technicians have inspected
absolutely
nook and cranny.
Every inch, every centimeter, every square millimeter has been inspected for your pleasure. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Hope you all having a great week. Happy tax day. I mean, I don't know if you say happy tax day, but anyways, what I've been up to, dude, I finally started going back to the gym last week. I've been
nice. I saw that. I was like, is he going to a bar called Gym?
I've been slacking. So yeah, there's a gym right by my house here, and they have rowing machines, which is my favorite exercise machine. I can just do that.
Rowing?
The rowing machine.
Like
Yeah. You can just do it and zone out. It's great. So
Let's
been
just
doing
it's
that.
all in the back, Alan, right? It's all in the back.
All in the back. Oh, dude, there were parts of my body that were sore. I was like, holy shit. Kicked my ass. Like my shoulders and
Yeah.
my abs, legs, the whole thing. It's a great
Nice.
workout.
Great. Is it an
Yeah, it was a good
expensive
time.
gym?
Oh,
Nice.
Planet
Do they have
Fitness,
a
dude. Hella
sauna?
you know what? I didn't even go in the locker room. I don't know.
What brand is this gym?
Planet Fitness.
Oh yeah, Planet Fitness. Sometimes they do have a sauna. Yeah, there's one by us.
Yeah, it's only like I think it's like $10 a month or
Do
something.
they still have that
Stupid.
clunk alarm thing?
I didn't see anything like that.
Okay.
I've heard of it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. I got a bunch of new equipment, so it's like, it's fun.
Nice. Good for you, dude. I'm glad to hear that.
Absolutely. Also on Sunday, so we were supposed to get hit with a huge storm here in the Bay Area over the weekend. They canceled the beer fest. I talked about that.
Yeah.
And honestly, it dumped all Friday night and Saturday morning, but by the afternoon, it was pretty much clear. They
Look,
probably could.
Biden extended tax day for Californians because of all the rain you had.
See, I saw that he said that, and he said specifically San Diego, so I don't know if it's the whole state or not. I didn't hear anything about
That's
that.
pretty fucking lame, dude.
That's pretty wild. So on Sunday, it was a beautiful day again. Went out with Tim and the girls, and we went to Cellar Maker in Berkeley. Had a really nice time out there. Dude, they got some new stuff on the menu that was really good. Just some like cheese boards and some new beers too that I hadn't had before. There's one Map of the Sun that used to only be available in a
It's a
bottle.
beer?
Yeah, Map of the Sun's a beer. It's an apricot saison. Really good.
Okay.
And they have it on draft now, so that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Anyways, had a great time.
Going to be able to go get that, so I appreciate the specificity, but like we could probably not get into that much.
Yeah. People live around.
It's just a good point. Yes, yeah. Way next time you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, be sure to go by Cellar Maker and get a Map of the Sun.
Yes,
we drove. So we got up early Sunday, and drove our big strong boy, our handsome boy, Jack White the dog. We took him down to Chattanooga to meet his forever family on Sunday.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, it's
So is it kind of bittersweet?
It was definitely bittersweet. Yeah. But he was a sweet boy the whole drive down. He got out of the car. He's like, "This is nice." He's like, "Well, you people are nice." And then we like talked for a while, sort of walked around a little bit. They were like, they sent us a text. I'm not going to read it on the show, but they sent us a text saying like, his first day has been so great. He cuddles so well. And we got up in the morning and fed the ducks and the chickens, and he just walked around with us. He met the cat, and they look like they're going to be friends. I was like, this is fucking perfect. They even thanked us. They're like, thank you for getting him prepared to be loved so much. Cause like, shelter dog,
Yeah.
And that it hurts. It's rough to see it's
No
rough
pun
to see
intended.
them go. But it's worth it for that,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Any loneliness from Mithra or Petra or Addie? Or are they pretty cool?
I was surprised. No, they were upset that we left without them because we didn't take them down there with us.
Right.
But no, we came home. They're just like, great, this is cool, this is fine.
Well, they have each other. They have,
yeah,
so
exactly. Yeah. Well, I don't think Mithra is really aware of a lot of things that go on. Petra, we got Mithra as a pet for Petra.
Right.
She, if anyone, is sort of like, hey, this is nice. I get a little bit more loving. But
Not a lot going on in the brain up there.
When we left the park where we traded the dog off, we had to sort of like pretend to walk to their car with them and then fall back. And then Natasha, I held Natasha with her facing me, and I looked over her shoulder and watched the whole time. And he just like would start to turn this way, and she would keep his attention, and he'd just look. And then they got to the car, and he's like, "Oh, okay." And he jumped in their truck, and he was a good boy. He's a happy boy.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Great to hear. Great to hear.
We've had that dog since the first of the year, man.
I know, it's been a while.
3.5 months. Yeah.
Dude, Thrash sent me something on Instagram about some guy in Wyoming who it's a tragic story. Well, not tragic, horrific.
Is this
story.
because the first clip is here is from Thrash, or is this dog related?
It's wolf related.
Oh, I saw that. Oh, God.
Saw that? Yeah. He sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh, God damn it!"
Some guy named like Cody or something in Wyoming or Montana.
Some asshole.
I don't know if it was intentional or not. He hit a wolf with a snowmobile, and then he wrapped its snout shut with tape and took it to a bar.
It didn't die. Took it to a bar, and then
and then he abused it and killed it.
Shot it. It's fucking terrible.
Hey, dude, this is a fucking comedy clip.
I know.
Fucking literally.
Talk about a fucking dog dying.
What is this fucking ponderous, man?
Is Don on the line?
Ponderous.
Get Don on the line,
ponderous.
Alan. Fucking hell, man.
Fucking ponderous.
Yeah.
Sometimes stream of consciousness does that, you know?
I'm really glad we have those 2 buttons. They get us through a lot of them.
They do, for sure.
All right. This is a clip from Josh Johnson that Thrash sent in.
People been waiting on his downfall for a long time.
Diddy. A lot of people have been waiting on Diddy's downfall for a long time.
So when the FBI was raiding, people were like, where is Diddy? And you know how these kids are now? They're very smart. They can track anything. They track Diddy's plane. And so while the FBI is raiding all of his homes at one time, Diddy's plane is leaving America. And I don't mean getting fueled up. I mean, the plane is over just blue. That's the ocean. The plane is gone, right? And the plane is headed for Antigua. Now, Antigua is still extradite. So a lot of people are like, why would he be going over to Antigua? Then other people said, hey, maybe he's landing in Antigua because everybody knows that's his plane. He's going to land in Antigua. He's going to get on a friend's smaller plane, and he's going to go to a country that doesn't extradite, like Bali, right? So then that plane lands in Antigua. It comes right back. When it lands, turns out Diddy was never on the plane. He was in Miami the whole time. This man is a terrible rapper and an incredible villain. I've been thrown for a loop consistently with him. Like, this man should be in a James Bond movie.
I don't have.
He's very funny.
Yeah, have you seen him before?
Yeah, he's a correspondent on the Daily Show.
What?
Yeah.
That kid?
Yeah.
He's like 22. I mean, I know
very,
black don't crack, but like, how old do you think he is?
He might be later 20s, actually.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great to be black just for the skincare?
Oh man, cocoa butter, baby.
I mean, I could rub cocoa butter on my face. I don't think it's gonna do that, man. Right. Should I play Mike Bridenstine?
Yeah, of course.
Got a clip from Brido. Oh, he's basically he's almost talking about the maneuver.
Oh.
Start it over. Sorry.
I eat like shit. That's my problem. I eat like shit. So I was in line at McDonald's. I like McDonald's. Fucking suck my dick. I don't know. I like it. I don't. So I was getting a quarter pounder with cheese meal. But thank you. But the car in front of me was like a Dodge Challenger with like the loudest engine I'd ever heard. So now I feel like shit ordering this, and I have to shout my order in the drive-thru. So I was like, I'd like a quarter pounder with cheese meal, and the lady's like, I can't hear you. And I was like, holy fuck! I felt like Private Pile in Full Metal Jacket. Like, I want a quarter pounder with cheese meal. She's like, I can't hear you. And I legitimately started going, I'm a fat piece of shit. I'm a fat fucking piece of shit. I am a fucking fat piece of shit. And she goes, quarter pounder with cheese. I eat like shit. That's my problem. I
talked over
a good one, Brido.
Yeah. He's been doing. Oh no, I played that before. He's been doing crowd work lately. It's kind of unusual for him, but I like it. I like it.
I've seen some of it. Yeah.
Bit about crowd work that was going to be. Oh no, damn it! That should have gone in the pre-show. Oh well, maybe next week. This is. I really like this lady, Olga. How do you say this? COCH. You're not gonna say cock, right?
Coke.
It's probably Coke, right? Olga Coke.
So.
Olga Coke.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
Who sent this in? Nameless?
My sister's 42, I'm 30, my brother's 19. I'm over a decade away from both of them. We had no crossover growing up. It felt like growing up in a haunted house. I'd walk around being like, Mother, was there a little girl here? I've seen her in photographs. I don't know anything about my siblings. I know nothing about my sister. The only memory I have of my sister is at the age of 7, I offered her all of my pocket money to watch her and her boyfriend make out.
Weird.
And she obliged.
That's weird.
Which I think makes us less sisters, more women in business. Don't know anything about my brother either. I assume he's a typical Gen Z. I assume this because last time I saw him, I had to pay for his McDonald's because he put all of his pocket money into NFTs, and he's, and I quote, not exactly liquid right now. My sister's 40.
Okay, sorry. It hurt. her style is so like just conversational and storytelling. I'm like, oh, I want more. Like I know it's not like punchline, set up, punchline, set up, punchline, but it's funny. It makes me laugh.
She's very good.
This one's about cutting back on the booze, also from Nameless.
Got to cut back on the boozing too. Got to cut back. My doctor goes, you don't got to quit or anything, but you might want to make some change. He goes, take some changes to your diet and your drink. He goes, this is the example he gives me. He goes, let's say if you're out with your buddies on a thirsty Thursday and you have like 4 beers, cut it in half, have 2. Same thing with food. If you have like 2 slices of pizza, cut it in half, have 1. You understand? I was like, yeah, I get the concept, but that is amazing that those are the numbers you think I'm working with. 4 beers and 2 slices of pizza. How adorable is this son of a bitch? I was like, you sweet country mouse. My 12-year-old niece will drink this under the table. Who is doing a 4 and what am I, a freshman? Get the fuck out of here, dude. And cut.
You sweet country mouse.
Cutting back to 4 and 2 would be better. That would be ideal.
Yes, yeah. Whatever the number is, just get it down there, I suppose. Yeah. Pete Holmes bit. I got a couple slickets sent in. This was a Pete Holmes joke. Actually, I knew there was something in this show that referenced secret tracks. That must be what put the thought in my head. This references secret tracks at one point.
Okay.
But the main difference, when I was 24, I would pee, I would shake it, zip it up, and walk away. Now that I'm 44, I would pee, shake it, zip it up, walk away. And then like 30 seconds later, just more pee comes out. Not a lot, but enough to halt a conversation. It merits a pause. It's like, remember in the 90s, you'd listen to a Dave Matthews CD, and at the end of the CD, you'd think it was over, but there'd be like 3 minutes of silence.
Yeah.
And then they'd come out and be like, just kidding, and they'd play like a hidden song. It's like that. It's good for pee-pee. And if you get that reference, it's definitely happening to you.
You know what? I'll overshare here. It's a tragic personal life. I've always had. Let's say you finish peeing. This is like since I don't know, as far as I can remember. Finish peeing, shake it off, and if I didn't, I'm not going to show you, but if I didn't sort of like. Not quite down to the gooch, but if I didn't sort of like press the button round the the base area, not quite down to the gooch, but press a little button there, I wouldn't get that last little squirt out.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Is that a thing other guys have and don't talk about until they do a podcast?
I never press the button, but I do, especially now that I'm older. I definitely
First of all, when we say button, I think people think that means prostate. Like I'm not fingering my prostate in the urinal here.
No, you said above the gooch, so yeah. I can't confirm that happens. So now, like, shake it and just wait like another 30 seconds just in case. Shake it again.
A whole time just standing there?
Yeah,
that's a long time.
Otherwise, you're gonna get a little.
But then it's awkward, and you're at the baseball stadium, and they're already watching, and I'm nervous.
They got to do it too, probably.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't worry about that shit.
Also, nobody's watching, right? Like I don't
know,
but in my head, they're all looking at me. Even
I don't like
they're thinking they're listening to me. Headphones help. Now that I know everyone's on headphones, I'm like, I could just piss and shit. I don't like public bathroom. Like I feel vulnerable.
I don't like the trough situation.
I can't believe that was ever a thing.
I know. I think that's mostly been eliminated.
There have been people like me then, right? Like, what did you do when you drank 30 beers at a Tigers game?
Right. I remember one time when I was younger, I went on my friend's boat, like out in a lake up here, and
like just go off the back of the boat, and you're like,
yeah, and I was like, I couldn't do it.
Wait, you've been silent while I've always said this about me overshare. So this is a thing other guys have?
Yeah, of course. No, I couldn't do it, dude. I think I was like 13 years old or 14 years old or something like that, and yeah, I was like, can we go back to shore and go to the bathroom? And he's like, nah, dude,
hang off the back of the boat.
Yeah,
put my legs in the water. Like, yeah.
He's like, we're fishing.
Don't look at me. Like, I don't
just pee off the back of the boat. I'm like,
and it has nothing to do with like people seeing my genitalia. Like, if I'm hanging in the water, under the water, I still don't want you to look at me. I just can't go looking at me. I don't know what it is. There's got to be a thing about this, and it'll be something embarrassing. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, Dustin, you didn't know that all the people that have that issue secretly are this." Like,
right?
That's my fear. I can't be sharing too much about that. You know, I don't know what that thing would be, but now I've put it out there.
can be part of your identity politics now.
Okay. My intersectionality.
Yes.
I can't pee if you watch.
Frightened
I have a shy bladder. Look, I'm a cisgender, shy bladdered male. All right? I'm a white cisgendered, shy bladdered male. Why not? That should be on there. Why not?
It should be on there. Yeah.
All right. It means about as much to me that you know that to me as it does what you know about how I like to have sex. Did that turn into a sentence before the end?
I think it sort of did. Yeah.
You got the gist of it. I got sounds for you. I got a new
arcing all over the place. Not C. It's the ultimate load.
So much fun.
It is a good time.
Another one from Slickets to close out the comedy segment. This is about millennials. Grant Winkles. Huh.
If you are a millennial who's never worked in the service industry, never worked at a restaurant,
I like he turned this into a bit because we've said this at work like for the last 20 years.
you get looked at within our generation like a boomer who didn't go to Vietnam. We have full conversations like, what branch did you serve in? Front of house or back of house? Waffle House? I didn't know you were a Navy SEAL. You were in the shit, man. Lost a lot of good guys in that dish pit. If you are a millennial...
The ultimate load.
Oh, sorry.
That was very funny.
Mexicans are alcoholics. Damn it. That one's not labeled. I didn't know that. That doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Arcing. That was a non sequitur if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. Do you want to get into
how about that
segment? Let's start off with this one. I got this right. Loadmaster sent this in right before the show. This must have been from last week's Saturday Night Live. It's talking about Trump. God, look at his makeup. This is talking about Trump and his abortion stance that he came out with. Nobody was asking for.
This week, Donald Trump said that he supports abortion laws being decided by the states instead of the federal government. But why stop there? Why not go even smaller and leave it up to the counties or the city? Or even better, take the government out of it completely and leave it the choice about what women can do with their bodies to the person who knows what they could do with them the best, their husbands.
Y'all let me in this day.
Wrong button. Sorry about that.
How about that indeed? I did not see that one coming.
No.
Not see.
You did not see that one coming. This is you know what? I've referenced this on last week's show about what a quisling was. I think I called somebody a quisling and I said something about the King of Norway. Damn it, this is only 11 second clip. So Norm called or someone called him a quisling. Norm called someone a here.
There you go. Quisling is a traitor who serves as the puppet of the enemy occupying his country.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's what happened. Letterman called someone a quisling, and Norm played dumb, and they brought.
Like he didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
Got it.
Well, that wasn't that funny. Sorry,
how about that?
Maybe I should write down 28 minutes.
how about that
Alan was right to bring this up on the Friday show because turns out when we wait till next Wednesday, O.J. Simpson's death just isn't still a big deal.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, but as we said then, say again now, rest in piss, bozo. Norm, speaking of Norm, made a whole bit out of just going back to calling OJ a murderer. And there was an executive at NBC, Don Ohlmeyer, who was friends with OJ, and he kept warning Norm to stop doing it. And Norm would do the OJ Simpson jokes anyways. And that's eventually what led to him getting fired. And then like a year later, he was the host of Saturday Night Live.
This week of the O.J. Simpson trial, the
Here's some of the best Norm OJ jokes.
infamous bloody glove was finally introduced into evidence, and O.J. didn't help his case any by blurting out, "There it is, I've been looking all over for that thing." In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably... You don't get worse luck than that. According to the National Transportation Safety Board, sleepy truckers are responsible for 1,000 deaths a year. In second place, O.J. Simpson at 2 deaths a year. Judge Lance Ito was happy with the jurors' field trip to the crime scene last week. It went off without a hitch, said Ito. Not one murder. This week of the O.J. Simpson.
That's it.
Oh, about
About that indeed.
Yeah, and it was every fucking week for a year and a half. Like,
Yeah, he just went hard.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Any updates on the OJ thing? Do you want to talk about the whole his son did it thing?
I don't have any
I was
updates
glad to
on.
see that story came back up. Everybody was like, "Well, now that he's gone, I always thought his son did it," and I'm like, I always like that theory. I feel like I've seen that theory debunked, but it's my favorite one, so I ignore those memories and stick with the one that I like.
Your cognitive bias is kicking in.
I realize we do a non-biased news show,
Right.
independent news show. We can be
Yeah,
independently.
I found the theory interesting as well. I don't think I ever actually bought it, but
It's hard to believe, right? It's a lot easier to believe that OJ, who's been beating women since he was at USC, was a murderer, and
Dustin
that a
with the
waiter
spicy
happened to
cakes
be
out
there
here.
dropping off her glasses or whatever.
yeah, it's much easier to believe that.
Yeah,
Occam's razor seems to
Occam's
indicate
razor.
that would be the more likely.
Yep, exactly. Okay, I don't want you to look on the screen.
Okay.
I mean, I'll decide how much of the screen you can watch.
Obama can afford.
You kind of do have to see this, but I just need you to sort of like anticipate where the window's at and then cover up the bottom half so you can just see his face. Because if you see his name, it might give it away. Okay.
Okay.
And his name's written down.
Okay.
By the voice, see if you can guess who this guy is. You're not going to know the guy's name, but he's related to someone.
Of course, Barack Obama can afford to be magnanimous. He may have lost here today, but he is ahead nationally on every measure. He has the majority of the popular vote. He's got the most states, and he's got the most delegates. Hillary Clinton's campaign, meanwhile, is in debt and struggling. She needs.
Any guesses? You can look now. His name's not on the screen.
I was thinking Roger Clinton, but I don't think he would be saying that.
So this man is he's an anchorman for like the CBC in Canada.
Okay.
And his name's Neil McDonald. He's Norm McDonald's older brother.
Oh, he's got the most states and he's got the most delegates. Hillary Clinton's campaign, meanwhile, is in debt and struggling. She needs smashing victories, more than 500,000 votes. And she's Peter?
All right, Neil. Thanks very much. Neil McDonald in Philadelphia tonight.
I can kind of hear it, but he doesn't have the same
cadence.
Yeah, and Norm almost sounds more like Minnesota than Canadian.
Yeah. And if he would have like ended that with, and Hillary Clinton has, you guessed it, Frank Stallone, then you'd know it. It's definitely Norm McDonald. Yeah.
Yes.
This one, okay, you know who this is. This is Frank Zappa. They asked Frank Zappa on Crossfire. Well, here.
Are there any rock lyrics, Mr. Zappa, that you have heard in the past couple of years that you wouldn't want your children listening to?
We are the world.
He was so fucking punk rock. And not even, right? He'd be like, how dare you call me punk rock?
Yeah. That was so fucking fast, too. He was just like, boom.
Yeah, we are the world. Yeah. What do you think he'd say now? Probably Taylor Swift, huh?
Probably. Oh, that's fantastic.
I like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, like in a passive way.
Sure. Frank Zappa testifying before Congress. I know we played that before on the show, but that always gets me.
You know what? We'll bring it back up. We'll play it on the pre-show next week. I don't know how much we played of it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, the secret track.
Yes.
Or we'll play for the secret track on Thursday. This is Monty Franklin, a comic. He's talking about how about that? This is sort of non sequiturs, right? Isn't that something's? No, that's a separate segment. Good grief. Get your professional hat on. So this guy, Monty Franklin, is giving us some birthday facts from Australia. They do things a little different there.
In America, they do not sing hip hip hooray at the end of happy birthday. Did you know we were the only people who did that? Do you know how embarrassing it is? And I just go, hip hip! there's just silence. And one of them goes, "What'd you do that for?" I went, "Oh, in Australia, one person yells out hip hip and then everyone yells hooray, and we do that 3 times. Why do you do that?" And I went, "I don't know. I didn't know you weren't meant to do it. It's always been there. So you can't help yourself, can you? You needed to. You needed to get it out of your system. You do, don't you? We need to, all right? Hip hip! Hip hip! Hip hip! Insane to the rest of the world. Happy birthday goes for 45 minutes in Australia. We do the hip hips and then someone goes, "Why was he born so beautiful?"
I asked Natasha, she's like, I didn't live there past my 7th birthday, so I don't really remember, but that sounds familiar.
That sounds like an old-timey thing. Like people used to do that like in the 20s or
Yeah,
something.
right. For he's a jolly good fellow. And
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. Right, yeah.
That's hilarious, though.
Yeah. This song was pretty catchy, and this is the segment of the show where we will play catchy stuff. This guy does...
Decided to make a song using AI. If Trump dissed Diddy, what would it sound like?
I gotta admit, it's really good.
Here's our
Can't wait.
Hey, yo, Diddy, what the fuck's going on in them mansions? Fucking Block Epstein over here. Gobbling the glizzy? No, Diddy. Take you shopping like you're 50? No, Diddy. Me and the homies getting silly? No, Diddy. You know I'm allergic to that kitty? No, Diddy. And I'm a ride this beat, but no, Diddy. Epstein and his bitch, yeah, I'm hanging with the homies. Yeah, I'm a bad boy, but I ain't no puffy. I do the fucking, yeah, no dudes, fuck me. Brotherly love, Meek Mill was in your butt cheeks. Wasn't at the party, so you know he never touched me. Diddy is a diddler, thank God he never stung me. Bad butsy boy, I ain't trying to be funny. Gobbling a glizzy? No, Diddy. Take you shopping like you're 50? No, Diddy. Me and the homies getting silly? No, Diddy. You know I'm allergic to that kitty? No, Diddy.
I need to isolate the me and my homies getting silly. That's kind of funny. Me and my
That's
homies getting silly.
fantastic.
Right? Like
That's
that's
really
pretty good. Yeah.
We gotta promote that AI.
Yeah,
That's good
I
stuff.
think that's got to have taken a lot of prompting. I mean, it's great.
Probably.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Tear it apart so much. We live in an age where somebody can fuck around on their computer and do that. Didn't these guys make coffee makers, Alan? Krupp, remember Krupps? We'd sell
yeah.
Krupps. Maybe Krupps might be a different one, but Tyson Krupp, the elevator company,
Mhm.
they just go by Krupp now. This guy has a weird accent. I'm just trying to pad for that so you can kind of get ready for that.
Okay.
As long as we're talking about elevator companies, should I do my extra elevator conversation after this or before? Let's do it now.
Do it now.
What is it? Can you think of another elevator company besides Tyson Krupp or Krupp? Schindler.
I can't
Schindler,
think.
Schindler elevators.
Yes, Schindler. Yeah.
Lift was on the table, right? They could have called it Schindler's Lifts. Yeah. We've been waiting to use that, and it's never really been appropriate.
This and Krupp used to just be Krupp, and you make everything from high-speed trains to elevators. What'd you used to make?
We were founded in 1587, just before another outbreak of the bubonic plague, and so we just bought up all the land of the people who were fleeing.
1587.
Wow.
And they bought everybody's land.
We thought, you know what, steel and iron could be cool.
Oh, that is old, and you guys make steel. Oh, this is gonna be so many wars.
Yeah, we made weapons for the 30 Years' War, Napoleonic War, the Balkans War, the Venezuelan Crisis, World War I, World War II, the German Wars of Unification, the Franco-Prussian War, and anyone else that was having a war, we just sent them weapons.
That's so many. You didn't do anything horrific during World War II, did you?
Well, we may have had over 100,000 volunteer workers that showed up one day and just didn't need to be paid, and then we made the biggest guns that's ever been made.
What?
This is a Gustav gun. It weighed over 1,350 tons, could fire a shell 27 miles, and the shell itself would weigh 16,540 pounds.
What happened?
7 Danny DeVitos.
After the war.
Hold on, just imagine a shell that weighs 87 Danny DeVitos.
The CEO was found guilty of crimes against humanity and sentenced to 12 years in prison, but was let out after 3 and given all his stuff back.
How did you go from the world's biggest gun to elevators?
They will take you up higher levels to meet new people. The person used to be God.
Hate this.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah. Any company that's been around for almost 500 years is bound to have some.
That's a good point.
Some skeletons
That's
in
actually
the
a
closet.
great point. Yeah. Nobody gave a shit back then. Is the East India Tea Company still around, Alan? Or is the East India Company still around?
You know what? I would imagine that there's some sort of form of it left. Yes, it's probably not
Yeah,
called
yeah,
that anymore. But.
Oh, you know what? I played this last week on the pre-show. I still think this is good for everybody to hear. This is the
I know what's left of it. The British government. Yeah.
Well done, Alan. This is not loading, and that's fine. I already played it last week. Got to listen to the bonus show. Oh, wait, now it plays. All right, we'll do it real quick. This is the way the Intercept opens their episode.
This is Intercepted.
Tired of ads barging into your favorite news?
That's the first time we've had an ad show up in our fucking show, right? Because we don't.
Yeah, we don't do that.
God, oh, it's so disgusting. Like, it's so fucking rude.
You're not even 30 seconds in. It's like,
Dude, it was like you said the name of the show. You have a whole fucking song that like really gets you like jammed out and ready. Yeah, exactly. And this video is not available anymore. That's so funny. So I was going to share a video of there was a hack on how to buy beer underage through self-checkout.
Oh.
I won't say who sent us, you know. It was a young lad that likes the show. We'll keep it at that. Yeah, so the video is not available anymore. Shocker. If you want to know the trick though, is you got to get some of those like hard alcohols that are also available that are like mocking real drinks, like the Arnold Palmer, like a hard Arnold. Dude.
Hard on.
No, say Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer. That is
See? Wait, try it again.
Arnold Palmer.
Okay.
Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer. Okay, but hard Arnold Palmer. Say hard Arnold. Say hard Arnold Palmer altogether.
Hard Arnold Palmer.
That's tough.
That is really difficult.
Do it again.
Yeah. Hard Arnold Palmer. Hard Arnold.
You made
Palmer.
it, but you sound.
It's. Yeah, I'm not confident with it at all.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can go get the hard on Palmer, and then you can go over to the non-alcoholic regular Arnold Palmers and check out, and you scan the Arnold Palmer twice.
Oh,
like you would if you had two of the same drink, you would scan them twice. They make them look so similar that that's how you could.
You
check
wouldn't
out.
notice. Yeah. All right.
Yep, they're gonna ban those now probably because of that. That would have been good for the video. That Louis Armstrong. Have you seen this Japanese game show where this guy goes out in blackface and does a Louis Armstrong impression?
I don't think so.
Then you're gonna enjoy the Thursday show.
Okay.
We'll save that puffy one for then too. Okay, last clip for Isn't That Something? We like generational warfare, right? It's always fun.
It's always fun. Yeah, good times.
This is that King Trout guy. Talking shit with baby boomers, millennials, silent generation.
Oh, you millennials and your avocado toast, you're such complainers. When I was your age, I went to the factory down the road. I shook hands like a man and I got a job. I was only getting paid the modern day equivalent of $77,000 a year. And this was back when a brand new home cost the modern day equivalent of $220,000 a year. Can you imagine? The average monthly grocery expenditure back then? Adjusted for inflation, $98 per month.
Jeez.
Absolutely insane. Adjusted for inflation, the average cost of a gallon of gas was $1.80. You didn't have it as rough as I did growing up in two of the greatest economic booms in the history of America. You're soft.
So that's like just the part of the story that you know we all know. It's like, yeah,
right.
It's fucking perfect for you. And then he does the impression of his dad.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that right, Dad? Well, when I was his age, I was being pressed back from the 39th parallel under heavy artillery bombardment because the Chinese had just arrived. And you didn't get that job at the factory by shaking hands. You got that job at the factory because I was in the service with the manager. No, he gets this way when he's tired. Your mother and I paid the down payment on your first home, and you never did pay us back. I remember distinctly. And he can't get a job at the factory that you worked at because when you took a management position, you outsourced all of the manufacturing labor to China.
Shit's getting real.
Remember, I was very upset with you about that. Don't listen to him, he's old. Oh, you...
How about that?
Wow.
Avocado toast. Yeah.
How about that indeed?
Blaming millennials and their avocado toast on their lack of saving is like blaming the consumers for the climate problem, right? It's like, nah, dog. Like, I mean, like in general, sure, you're right. Like people can save better, but like this is all fucked. Like,
Yeah.
for what? Save for what? Like, do you understand how lucky I got that I was able to get a house? Like, no,
Yeah.
like this, the window's passed. Like, you're either really fucking lucky or it's over. Like, I say that to sound appreciative of being
Sure,
fortunate.
I understand.
Like, yeah.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, like I still believe in,
Late stage capitalism.
I was gonna say the American dream to some extent is still true in the sense that like you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't work really hard. So if you do work really hard, and you're very lucky, an opportunity will show up and you'll be prepared for it too. Is the other.
That's the plan.
Like platitudes, not really mean it to sound like that. So, do I sound like a dick? I didn't mean to.
No, I don't think so. We're good.
You want to get into isn't that something?
Isn't that
Microsoft versus the U.S. government. That's the only note I have. I don't remember this. Oh, I sent you this. And I said, "Do you want to talk about this on the show?" And you said, "Sure."
Mhm.
So this guy's saying we've heard about this a lot. There's been a lot of hacks into the U.S. government that got there, like personnel files, things like that got there through a Microsoft vulnerabilities, right?
Yes.
This guy's going to give us a rundown on it. I'm sure you have thoughts on this. This is sort of your hub.
The U.S. government has a Microsoft problem, and that problem is that they keep getting hacked, and a bit of a sub-problem that they're completely reliant on them. If you follow me, these hacks aren't news to you. Between Russia and China, Microsoft's been a bit of a punching bag lately. And even though a bunch of people in the government have been vocal about these hacks being displeasing to them, they keep buying and using Microsoft products. The government even runs this cyber safety review board, which put out a new report that said Microsoft's security culture was inadequate and requires an overhaul. But unsurprisingly, Microsoft powers all the computers, document drafting, and email conversations for every department in the government. Yeah, I'd say that's an enviable advantage. But even through all that, let's look at some of the hacks. In 2021, Chinese government used some vulns in Microsoft email servers to hack the company's customers, released that publicly to spark a frenzy. Then in 2023, China again broke into email accounts of 22 federal agencies, spying on a bunch of State Department officials. Then even just 3 months ago, Russia got in with just a simple password spray attack, got into the email accounts of a bunch of senior executives, and even stole some source code. There's quotes in here from CrowdStrike about that last Russian hack where they were able to jump from a testing environment that they had the password to into a production environment, and they said that should never happen. The quote.
Let me pause that. Can you there's a lot of stuff flying by there. I think the one that stood out to me the first time I saw this was the testing environment, password working in the real life environment. I'm sure most people know what that means. Can you kind of elaborate on that and explain why that's such a crazy thing to have happened?
So we talked about this on the show when it first happened. So essentially what happened was a computer had an error and they have a crash log on in the hard drive of the computer. They pulled it to an area where they were supposed to test it and figure out what went wrong. Somehow, so that area is supposed to be gated off. It's supposed to be fenced where nothing can pass from that area to the actual production area.
And in the real life application of this is like, hey, we've got this new software everybody's going to be using. You need to get trained on it. Or it's truly in the production phase. Is that what's different there?
Essentially what happened was the protocols that were supposed to be followed for dealing with these dump logs were not followed for whatever reason. So
I remember laughing at dump logs before.
Yeah, so they're supposed to delete certain things, just have the dump log there. It was supposed to again be fenced off, and none of those things happened. That was 100% on Microsoft. Now, I would say just a couple things I would push back on this guy is once you have an ecosystem like Microsoft where your email, your word processing, your spreadsheets, your PowerPoint is all there and it's all, in the cloud and you have thousands and thousands of people using this software. Everybody's used to it. They've been using it for years and years. It's very difficult to just say, we're going to use something else. Like that's really hard. Second thing is some of these hacks weren't Microsoft's fault. Some of these hacks were.
Wait, on that first point, isn't that like incumbent? Isn't that on them? They don't make something that's lousy, that it sucks for like, you should know when you make that this is like, this needs to be, words aren't coming to me.
Well, that's what I was going to. Oh, that's what I was about to address. Okay. So some of these
was the word I was thinking of saying. So if you could use robust while you talk, I'll feel good.
So some of these issues have been created because of poor security protocols at these agencies where people have responded to phishing emails and given out passwords and usernames they weren't supposed to. Some of them were a result of people using shitty passwords like SolarWinds 123. That wasn't on Microsoft, but similar things have happened with Microsoft.
What if you use like your dog's name in 69?
Actually, you have a pretty, I know that password. It's pretty strong. So it's not all on Microsoft. Yeah, I agree that
So
Microsoft
guys,
should be.
listen to this. God damn it, we got to
Am I-
change the password for the show page now.
Am I being a Microsoft shill right now? Is that what's happening? No, no. So yeah, Microsoft should be better. I absolutely agree. But they actually do have relatively good security protocols there, and if you
Okay.
keep your software updated through them,
So,
like you
so,
did,
so the U.S. has a Microsoft problem, but it's on the personnel side.
it's not
And-
entirely on Microsoft. Is what I would say. It's
Yeah, but don't
there
they
are
like
issues
find out about things and not tell anyone until like they had to?
that did happen. Yeah,
Okay.
that did
Let's
happen.
get a
Actually-
little spicy too. One of the main criticisms here is that Microsoft is actually charging more for security features. During SolarWinds, because a bunch of different people weren't paying Microsoft for this premium tier, they didn't even have access to the right logs to detect it if they could. And Microsoft has one of the best security teams on the planet. You can pause to read all this, but it just goes to show you how hard this is. But this last line says it best. If we do nothing, that's what's going to destroy us. Follow for more cybersecurity news. The U.S. government.
All right. What's that mean?
Oh, how about that?
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely coming at that with an agenda, I would say. And he's trying to get some likes and some subscribes.
You think so?
And I think he's only half right based on what I just said.
Okay. I accidentally shared a Culture Wars clip. That's not time for that yet. I have that. What?
Isn't that Sam Harris?
No, that's a
Oh, I
big
thought it
piece
was.
of shit from out here. No, that's Andy Ogles. We'll talk about him.
Oh, okay.
Oftentimes when I play clips of his, I don't say his name because he just doesn't deserve it. Like we talk about like Marjorie Taylor and Bobarts and effective culture warriors because like they're so ubiquitous. I don't need to help him get his fucking name out there. He's doing a bad job at it. I'm not going to hold his hand and help him with it. Anyway, that's related. That's for Culture Wars.
Okay.
I was listening to the Death of Journalism podcast.
You still take that one, huh?
Well, so he puts like the first 30 to 40 minutes out on his feed, and the rest is behind a paywall. And I mostly just listen to him. Like, Zig, I know you don't listen. If you listen, at me and tell me, and I'll still talk like this, but at least I'll know that I got to. I mean, like he came on the show. He's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
However, he says some wackadoo shit. And I mostly listen for that so that I can play it on the show. So this bit was about, he has a media theory. He has a media theory. And it's a three-dimensional theory, Alan.
Theory about 20 some years ago. I remember talking about this a lot at KFI Radio in Los Angeles, where there's an amazing phenomenon in the media where the further away a story happens from the surface of the earth. We talked about this with the submersible that blew up trying to find the Titanic. That was one of the many reasons why the media went bananas on that story.
Because it was far from the surface.
There's this weird phenomenon, and I guarantee you, folks, this works every time. The further a story occurs from the crust of the earth or the surface of the earth, the more news coverage it's going to get, or the more likely it is to be blown out of proportion by the news media.
One of the best things that I catch him on is just correlation causation shit. It's
right.
So this is either just the media doing their thing where they just love anything that's far from the surface, either down or up, or it's an incredible feat of engineering and something that very rarely or when it does happen is still impressive and noteworthy. And when there's like tragedies that happen or significant rare events that happen in that environment, it's newsworthy. It's not because it's below or above the surface. Like we live here, life doesn't happen well outside of like here to here. These things are here and here. Like that's. Yeah,
I mean,
like,
I don't know. He might be onto something. I mean,
I know. As I was saying that, I was like, that's actually his point.
Those hobbits in Middle Earth got so much press, man. I don't know.
That's a good point. And the dragons. Yeah. That's oh my god, he's so funny.
That's hilarious. That's his theory. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, it's a great theory. Friend of the show. You know, he has another theory that we like too, which is
yeah, I do.
So this is former Mayor de Blasio, right? Because it's Eric Adams now. So this guy sees de Blasio in the street.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for fucking up the city. Have a nice day. Yeah, asshole.
This is one of the things that makes America great. Some comments were like, hey man, that was disrespectful. You shouldn't do that. It's like, do you know how much of a gift it is that Americans can insult their politicians and be fine? You could literally walk up to Rudy Giuliani and be like, hey, Rudy, suck my balls. And everyone around you would probably applaud.
He'd probably sue you just for the hopes that he'll get some money to pay off his legal fees that he can't currently afford.
You do that in a lot of other countries, you're going to get sent to a labor camp or get re-educated.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Isn't that something?
It's true though. Like I remember growing up and my mom being like, well, we may have a idiot for a president. This was during Reagan. We may have an idiot for a president, but at least I can say that. I remember her saying that to me and being like, it sounds like you're brainwashing me, Mom. But that part's pretty cool that we can do.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Donald Trump, if he were honest, do you want to hear that one?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is Donald Trump. It's not actually Donald Trump talking, but this is like, so they're interviewing a diagnosed narcissist. That's why I'm saying it's Donald Trump, if you were honest.
Any friends as a child?
No.
Was that?
That's an easy one. I don't think I could be a true friend to anyone, in the sense that I don't think I will have an emotional correlate. If I become friends with you, there will always be the question of what's in it for me? How can I leverage you to obtain certain goals? There will always be some kind of comeuppance, like I would always try to compete with you and establish a hierarchy. It will be contaminated, a contaminated version of friendship. It's so contaminated that I sincerely doubt whether it complies with the definition.
Isn't that something?
But so many narcissists are too ego-driven to be able to admit that part, right?
Yeah. That definitely sounded like he was describing Trump, though. Everything's transactional with him, right? Everything is, it's all zero sum.
Well, the thing to remember with like narcissism and other personality disorders, I guess, is there's like variables off of the core, right? So, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, right? Like there's what chaotic evil, right? Chaotic neutral, or what is it?
The different types of
I don't know.
Personality traits, yes.
Yeah. What it's like something evil, something neutral, something.
I don't remember them all right now because I haven't played that in a very, very long time. But yeah, there was just different character types, and based on the type that you rolled, you kind of had to act in that way.
Oh, okay. I thought you got to like choose whether you're like that.
I think that you could choose or you could roll. There were different ways to play it, but yeah.
I don't know that I want to do this. If we started like a campaign with some of the listeners, I know Thrash wants to. Would I enjoy it?
A camp? Oh.
Would I like not feel this way once we're doing it?
Well, here's the only problem with it is it's quite the time suck. Like it takes.
That's probably the part of it that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and we already do a lot with prepping for the show and doing the show.
Yeah.
I mean, those campaigns, you can spend hours and hours and hours on it.
Can you pause on them for a while, or it's not?
You can. You can. Ideally, you want to meet like once a week and do it, but
okay. All right. Well, let's put it.
And there's a lot of they've digitized a lot of it too, so you can do a lot of it just through websites as opposed to having like manual dice and stuff. So
okay, but we could do it here.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk about this later.
Okay.
Hey, can we talk about Israel?
Sure.
Real news to talk about. Hour into the show. So this is the clip to ease us into the Israel topic.
Believe they
remember the whitest kids, the whitest.
Kids?
Yeah.
May be involved in some sort of intergalactic drug cartel.
This is like the White House press secretary coming out to talk to the press one day just to go over the news.
They may be involved in some sort of intergalactic drug cartel, perhaps affiliated with one of the interstellar wizard alliances.
Wizard alliances?
Yes, next question.
Just a thought, more of a shot in the dark, but we wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
Finally happened, Alan.
You got me.
I fell for it. You almost got away with
it. Came true.
That one.
No, I went too far. Believe they may be.
So yeah, over the weekend, a big thing fucking happened. Like I know we're a couple days removed from it, and at least for the moment, everybody's taking a fucking breather. But you can't understate it enough. At least maybe if you're a kid and you're like, I don't know, it's always seemed to have been something that's been closer to the brink. I mean, it's kind of been that way all our life, especially since there was a pause in the 90s, but ever since 9/11, we're like, we're going to go after Iran, right? Like, I know that they didn't do any of this, but like, in fact, their enemies, the Saudis, did this, but
right.
we're gonna go after Iran. Oh, Iraq. Oh, interesting. All right. Yeah, but the fact that Iran like actually launched ICBMs at Israel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first, right? Like, I mean, certainly since them wars.
Yeah, it is. It's the most
It's
recent
the first
escalation.
since the Revolutionary Republic or whatever, right? Since the Islamists took over of
79.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was the most escalation of of war that we've seen there in a while. However, they did really telegraph what they were going to do. They told everybody, they told the U.S. and the UK essentially, this is what we're doing. So 99% of that ordinance was able to be intercepted.
And we'll talk about that. We got a clip that
Yeah.
kind of talks about that.
Okay.
And I'm sure you probably know that already. But I mean, when this was happening though, I think like you were just having a Saturday and I was like, look, I'm gonna have a Saturday. I'm getting drunk. I'm not thinking about this. Like I was fluctuating between nothing ever happens and I'm gonna die, aren't I? So quickly, it was practically a quantum superposition. Like it was.
You were Schrodinger's cat.
And I was like, you know what? I'll just drink and this will be fine. I'll watch some TV and
Yeah, you texted me. He's like, you're like, I think World War III is about to start or just started. And yeah, I mean, some of the video.
My anxiety was not that I think it's going to start, but that if it does, it's not going to help to just look for updates. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, this was Biden before. So again, this was the U.S. had warned. We've got intel that Iran is planning their response to Israel bombing their embassy in quotes. It was a building in their embassy complex, and the complex and in that building just happened to be a bunch of Quds Force foreign revolutionary fighters. Basically, like their entire job is to go cause revolutions and expand the revolution from Iran to its neighbors, right?
And some of them are pretty high.
Do you think that there's at least a handful of listeners that don't understand that? Like, I don't mean to sound like a war hawk, but the intention of the government that is in charge in Iran since the revolution, 79, late 70s, their statement is that we will expand the revolution outside of this. It's the Soviets. Like, it's all of the fear of the Soviets during the Cold War, just with radical fundamentalist Islamists, right?
And they have attempted to destabilize their neighbors in the region for
they have I mean, you can make a straight line from Iran through Syria, Lebanon, skipping something, but like there's like a bridge you can cross of countries that are all essentially puppets of Iran. And I know I'm sounding like fucking John Bolton, but you can not be a hawk and say that that's true. That is true. That is the goal of that government and that military. So when they have people in the embassy in Syria, the country that is kind of a proxy for them, I know their own country and they have their own civil war, but like Iran's influence is arguably as effective as their governments, right? Like
Iran and Russia both.
Sure.
In that area. Yeah.
So the fact that they have revolutionary militants, generals and commanders in that building, I'm not saying Israel was right to do it, but it's like, yeah, that's not a compound underneath the hospital. That sure looks a lot like a target,
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. So this was Joe warning Iran before.
Mr. President, to Iran in this moment.
People gave him shit for this. They were like, did you see? I saw Paul in the group chat. He's like, did you see Sleepy Joe just said don't and walked away? I'm like, how much? So did you watch the 3 second? Did somebody clip the 3 seconds where he said don't and walked away? And then that's what you got to see from this? Because there's a 10-second.
There's a lot more. Yeah.
Well, there's a little bit more.
Are American personnel and assets at risk, Mr. President? Mr. President, are American troops at risk as well?
He walks back to them.
We are devoted to the defense of Israel. We will support Israel. We will help defend Israel, and Iran will not succeed. Thank you very much.
And then what happened, Alan? They didn't. Don't.
They didn't. But we did intercept all of it.
Yes. So let's do a quick take on this
everybody.
Peter Zion video. It's a long video. We'll see how much we want to play.
The morning local time, my time, the Iranians launched the biggest ever assault
from another country into Israel since the wars that ended in the 1970s. Over 300 missiles, drones, and then an assortment of artillery rockets were fired in, some from Iran proper, some from Yemen via the Houthis, some from proxies that were in Syria, and then the artillery and some of the rockets from Hezbollah in Lebanon. And it has already proven to be the biggest piece of political theater of the year. Why do I say that? Well,
despite all my like concern talk earlier when it was happening, it was like we knew, like you said, they told everybody they were going to do it. You know that they were going to be intercepted. And I think I got a kicker that if he doesn't say
within minutes of the launches, the Iranian government issued an official proclamation, both directly from Tehran and via its UN office, that this is it. We've achieved everything that we want, and it's all over, and nobody needs to worry about anything. Ostensibly, the reason for the attack had to do with the Israelis' targeting position that, aside from the humanitarian point of view, which is horrific, there's and I stand by my initial position that aside from the humanitarian point of view, which is horrific, there's nothing about Gaza that matters at all. You're talking about a chunk of territory that's about 1/9 the size of Rhode Island. Nothing goes through it, nothing comes from it, and the population within it pretty much subsists on aid. It is an open-air refugee/prison camp, and it doesn't matter to anyone unless they choose to make it matter. So the assault that happened from Gaza.
So what he means by it doesn't matter to anyone unless they choose to make it matter is kind of like the, well, how come you never talk about Sudan argument, right? Like or how come you don't talk about what's going on in Myanmar, right? Like you only want to talk about this because a settler country is occupying some brown people who live there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes for a spicy take. So, I mean, to his point, essentially what this was Iran stunting for its domestic audience. They couldn't just take that punch with Israel blowing up that building by their embassy and killing a bunch of their generals or commanders and not respond to it. So this was their way of responding while attempting to telegraph it so much and then say, we're done here, to not escalate the situation further and not bring the whole region into an all-out war. That seems to be what their intent was here.
Yes, except, well, I have a couple of thoughts on that, but I don't know what gets covered in this clip or not. Let me just play a little bit more. You're right, though, yeah.
Upon Israelis in October, obviously that mattered to get involved. It is a choice. No one has interest there. The Iranians have publicly referred to Hamas as animals.
So this part of this that I've sort of skipped through, what he's saying is how Iran fighting Israel is only going to make things worse for Hamas. Like, so, you know, like if anybody's claiming to be sympathetic for them, well, they're not, because they're saying that Iran has referred to Palestinians as animals. But yeah, one of the side effects of this is, well, first of all, Israel's always saying Iran's 11 days from having a nuclear weapon. If Iran shot nukes towards Israel, the fallout would kill everybody in Palestine, right? So that's like one of the things people talk about when they're saying like nobody's going to do that. But also, well, I have some other thoughts on all of that. Let me just hit play on this.
So just before you do that, so I just want to go back. He said that essentially nobody really has any interest in Gaza. And
it was really, he said, aside from the humanitarian issue.
Right.
Yes.
So just to clarify, there's no manufacturing done there. There's no farming. There's no natural resources.
Imported food, like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when he's saying that, he's talking about a macro level. As you know, this is not impacting anybody's economy or anybody's security, really. And so
that's what he says, when it doesn't matter to anybody unless they choose.
Obviously, the people matter.
He says that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify
say that like every other word. You can't get through a thought. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's nothing of value, but everyone has chosen to assign some degree of value to it to justify actions in other ways. As regards the Iranians, it's a way to needle the Israelis while they're really focused on something that is of interest to them. However, for the Israelis, who are in a very much let's not fuck around right now mode because of what happened back in October, they are responding with more punch than is sent against them. So, for example, this is the embassy bombing or the consulate bombing in Damascus. That left the Iranians in a weird position. They have no interest in Gaza. They have no interest in any of the things that they've thrown in Israel until yesterday. But they don't want to see being losing face, especially if they're losing senior commanders. And so they launched this assault, but it was the most telegraphed assault that I have ever seen. They announced specifically what they plan to do for several days. And then the Swiss embassy, which handles diplomatic communications between the United States and Iran because we don't have direct relations, was very, very busy with the Iranians telling what sort of weapons they were going to use, where they were going to launch from, what the flight path was going to be, so that the Israelis and their allies could be capable of shooting down as much as possible so that there wasn't any damage done, so that there'd be no need for another layer of retaliation.
So let's be honest. The worst thing that could have happened on Saturday was that those missiles went through and killed a bunch of Israelis.
Yes.
Because we wouldn't be talking right now about any of that. We'd be talking about what happened on Sunday and Monday.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Some of those drones were flying over, like, I think Jordanian and Saudi airspace. And
So
actually,
the Houthis shot a bunch of rockets that way, and the
right.
Houthis have to cross over Saudi Arabia. So the
Saudi Arabia,
Saudis shot those down, and
Yes.
some went over Jordan, and the Jordanians shot those down.
Shut those down.
So,
Yes.
I mean, now a couple of things. Those people, especially those people, Saudi Arabia and Iran are rivals,
Correct.
but they're not supposed to like Israel. So
No.
they chose, hey, we're not going to let you do this. And,
Yeah.
you know, just because it flew over their country hasn't, I don't think, always been an issue, a sticking point that they're going to cause a tiff with that other place. Just,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like they chose to defend Israel. And
They
that's,
did. And there have
that was a
been,
huge outcome of this.
that was a huge outcome. John Stewart was on
And
Daily
Israel
Show.
won't just take that as a W and be
Right,
like, "Look,
right.
like people that don't like us have chosen that they like us over them right now, and they don't want to see escalations of tension." Nah, fuck them. They punched us back. We get to punch them again. It's like, that's not how punching back works. Like,
Yeah, yeah. John Stewart had a whole thing about it on the Daily Show that was pretty funny. But I mean, there have been close relations between Israel and some of these, like the UAE and,
yeah,
and
up till October
Saudis
7th.
until then. Yeah. So I think they have been building some bridges there, and so we sort of see the results of that now.
Bridges to Babylon. This is a Stones
Indeed.
album. And probably something that it was referential to. That's another thing. So half of them, I don't want to play the rest of that. That's a long clip.
Actually, Babylon makes perfect sense in this.
Well, I mean, I thought so. I didn't say it for no
Yeah.
reason. I didn't say it because of Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Right.
I didn't mean to. Now you guys can see the sheet. You're not supposed to see the sheet there. This is this the one where it's the spokesperson show? No, it's this one. So what the spokesperson for the Pentagon went on the TV show that's hosted by the former spokesperson. No, spokesperson for the Pentagon. Security
Went on the show with the former
spokesperson
White House
for the
press.
National Security Council went on the show that's hosted by the former spokesperson of the White House.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Yes.
Okay. Just like, this is the world you want to live in?
Give me
Here
a
we are.
response to those statements calling for for action from the United States directly at Iran.
I don't think it's in our interest or the American people's interest. The president doesn't believe it to have another war in the Middle East where you've got.
Do you ever remember before this guy knowing the National Security Council spokesperson?
No, I always knew the.
He was always the
Secretary
White
of
House press secretary, right?
Yeah, I knew the Secretary of Defense definitely, but not the.
The Secretary of Defense spokesperson?
No, just this actual,
I know
Lloyd
that.
Austin, Colin
I'm not-
Powell, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I
No,
know
I don't.
that.
No, I don't recall.
That's weird.
That is weird.
Oh, I mean, I guess it's good. We're getting more information out, but that seems noteworthy.
Thousands and thousands of American troops involved on the ground. And everything he's been doing, as I said, since the 7th of October has been to try to prevent that outcome. And then I would ask those critics to take a look at last night. I mean, my goodness, more than 300 drones and missiles fired at Israel from Iran. And how many made it through? And what damage did they cause? And it was an utter failure from a military perspective and an incredible success from an Israeli perspective. And I think we've got to keep coming back to the end result last night. What was shown the world was that Iran is not 10 feet tall and Israel has friends and extraordinary capability. And as you said in your opening,
He's basically saying, like, Israel, if you're listening, settle down, like, take this as a win, right? Like he's trying to say that in public so that the audience of the world that's watching this can say, hey, Israel, don't go do worse. Like it's like I'm
Well, I mean,
sure
like
they
you
have these conversations in private. I know, right? Like I'm sure
Yeah.
heads of state and their ambassadors talk to each other saying like, okay, so we helped with this. We hope that you guys de-escalate. I get that. But going on the press and saying this is kind of like, if you weren't in the mood to settle down and you saw your friend doing that, like you'd be like, no, fuck you. I'm still fighting. Like, I don't know. It would rile me up.
Well, I don't know if he's trying to speak directly to Israel in this.
I think
he's
he's trying to
speak
shape the public perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
domestic audience more so.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Would that would offend me as Israel in this bar
I see.
scenario.
I see.
I'd be like,
Nothing he said is
me.
wrong, though. That's all
No, I
correct.
agree. Well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I can tell you a couple things he said wrong. So he
Okay.
said 300 were fired at them. Only like half of them actually took off.
Okay.
Only like half of the projectiles actually fired. Maybe it was only like, because there was 3 phases. There was like the slow
There was the
drones,
drones and the missiles.
the cruise missiles, and then ICBMs, right? Or
Right.
ballistic missiles, maybe not ICBMs.
Ballistic
I don't know.
missiles,
What I'm saying. You know what? I don't know that. I know they're faster. How about that?
Yeah.
And bigly. The yeah, it's not an ICBM if it's going from fucking
No,
yeah.
same continent. Yeah, yeah.
It's transcontinental transcontinental TCBMs. Interstate. What was I going with that? Oh, so one of those like classifications of the missile of the weapons fired, only half of them took off. And 2 ways of looking at that. Is it like the haha, your shit doesn't work? Like, you know, Russia, who knows if your shit fires? Or like, remember in China when all the silos were filled with water because they had stolen all of the rocket fuel to use in like their hot pots at homes because it like burned hotter or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So it might be that, or it could be maybe there was like an Israeli operation that because we
sabotage.
Yeah, there could have been some that could have been
They're pretty good at that.
I know
They've done it before.
We all have Stuxnet because of them.
Yep.
Anyway, so that part is wrong. They only shot down half of them because only half of them went, and nothing happened. Some 7-year-old Bedouin girl died in the Negev desert. Am I saying that right? That's so appropriate, right? Like this is just a pissing match. Iran knew that they were being outside of the bounds by having those military people at that embassy, right? Can you say that to me? Like Iran knows they were taking a risk, and with those people being killed, sure, it's not the way we'd like to see targets taken out. It's like Soleimani, right?
I think they were certainly pushing the envelope by having them.
Yeah. So Iran was being naughty, and they've been naughty for a while.
Sure.
And Israel believes that the people there were assisting Hamas and maybe organizing October 7th. I don't know what's been resolved on that yet, so that I don't have a finished thought in that, but there's suspicion there. And that's their justification for attacking that complex. Iran knows they kind of, deserve to get hit for that. And Israel knows that they got away with bombing an embassy. So
essentially, yeah,
they should be willing to say we shot all this down. But at the end of all of that, like that's just the game side of it. Of course, a 7-year-old girl is the only victim of it, right? Like all of that, $1 billion to $1.3 billion is what they expect the defense costs for all of the
shooting them all down. Yeah,
shooting it all down. They're saying
Iron Dome stuff.
Yeah, it wasn't Iron Dome though. It's like David Sling or something like that. Anyway, the
ordinance used to get rid of it,
and it was like 1/10 of that on Iran's side, which is funny. It only cost them 1/10 to cause them to spend tenfold to defend it. But the offensive side of it is, like $100 million, something like that. And all of that, just a fucking waste. And then at the end of the day, you have some dead 7-year-old or injured 7-year-old. Like, it's just, her like head is bleeding. Like, and I get it, pan to Gaza and be, thousands of the same thing. But I just feel like that's so fitting for how this is. It's like, yeah, nothing ever happens. And the people that suffer are the innocent ones, right?
That seems to be the case often, yes.
All right. So Mark Esper, the former either defense secretary, somebody with Mark Esper, or he was in the Trump cabinet. Mark Esper was basically like, well, that was a lot of missiles. Israel should retaliate. It's like, God damn it. No, never put it past Bibi to make things worse. Israel's government came out and said, like, we have targets in Iran that are already chosen, or maybe we have Iranian targets. When I first read it, I was like, oh, great, you're going to go strike Iran on their soil. It might be surrogate or a proxy target.
Yeah, like in Lebanon or Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Bibi
party. Yeah. But they've said they are going to do it at the time and place of their choosing, right?
Yeah. I mean, Bibi's essentially using all this chaos to stay in power. I mean, this is existential for him. They were ready to kick him out of power before all this stuff happened on October 7th. And so it's in his best interest to continue to escalate things, unfortunately.
It is. I actually have a clip about that. That's going to close out this segment.
Okay.
You know what? No, I'll play that now. That sets it up well. Let's just keep it flowing. So this was, I told you on the Friday that I listened to Nancy Pelosi on.
Can this be resolved with?
I listened to Nancy Pelosi get interviewed with David Axelrod. So you don't have to.
Yeah, thank you for your service. I definitely did not want to listen to that.
You're welcome. I have distilled it down to, I think, 3 total clips. Might only be 2 clips I want to play from. This would be the first one. The other one's going to be at another time in the show. Yeah, the question was like, can there be peace, I think.
With Netanyahu as prime minister, are you worried about
this is like what you were saying?
I don't think, I mean, I've said this to Netanyahu over the years. I don't know whether you don't know how to make peace, you don't want to make peace, or you're afraid of peace.
Option B.
But
it's option B.
You could be
Which one was that? Afraid?
No, he doesn't want to.
Doesn't want to.
doing so much more instead of just throwing red meat to the crowd, which is what he did.
I just want you to know this is an hour and 8 minutes long, and I have probably like 2.5 minutes of worthy audio from it. This is kind of like Walk Hard, the movie, where it's like, man, that whole movie comes down to about 3 to 5 minutes of actual comedy.
Dewey Cox.
Yeah.
Great
You
name.
don't want none of this shit, Dewey. In my dreams, you're blowing me some kisses. Kisses. Such a great song. Listeners know that Let's Duet song. That's a great song. What seems more likely to you? That so clearly there's back channels like that Swiss embassy where Iran is talking to people, right? So clearly all of the parties are still communicating to each other. So maybe they've given the word Iran's done and Israel says, okay, we don't really want to do anything else, but we want to act like we still want to. So tell the world that we still want to. And then Biden can still get a win because he can look like he reeled in Bibi, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how plausible that is because I can't imagine Bibi being okay with that because that involves him being reined in and him being said to have been controlled.
Sure.
So I don't know how plausible that is. So, or B, Bibi's playing Biden and he'll say now, oh yeah, Joe Biden's really got me. America's got Israel by the balls, and then come election time, we'll be like, you know what? We really need a stronger, more supportive friend. Maybe we should have Donald Trump back in office. And Biden will do all of this and burn all his bridges with Michigan and places like that. And at the end of the day, Bibi's just like, I don't fucking fuck you anyways, bro. Like, you knew it. I was a scorpion the whole time. Like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The frog and the scorpion.
Yeah.
I think they're probably going to try to sell both narratives. I think Biden.
Why not Zoidberg?
Yeah, exactly. Biden will try to sell his narrative to the domestic audience here, and Bibi will do the same there. And they don't have to match up. They have different perspectives. And so I mean, they're both about saving face at this point, or trying to save themselves politically. So
yeah, that's a good point. I think we will go out of this with a clip from Sam Harris. So I think this was probably going to be one of the first, I think this was one of the first clips I added to the sheet from last week. So this little out of place with everything else, but at the time, I think I'd been saying, I kept seeing a lot of clips of people being like, hey, enough's enough. Like, sure, I hate a lot of the stuff that Israel is doing there, but don't act like they're not a country that's at war because of like some horrific shit. And like, I'm not gonna paraphrase it because I'm gonna give you like a minute of Sam Harris doing a better job. I think he's qualified. I might be funnier though, so you came here for that. I'll give you a minute of him, and then we'll talk.
And why do so many millions of Germans support it? That's an interesting question now, right now that Nazism has been defeated. But in 1941, there was nothing to do but kill Nazis. I feel
This is not the part that I remember why I don't share clips this way anymore. Let me find the spot.
exactly the same way about jihadists. In fact, jihadists are worse than Nazis, in my view. They don't have the same power the Nazis.
Okay, I did not set this up right. So he's comparing jihadists to
Nazis. Got it.
And this is not the clip that I thought I was setting up, and I apologize. If I stop talking about it, I'll have less to edit.
Nazis had in the 30s and 40s, which is a very good thing, and we should keep it that way. But their ideology is actually worse. Jihadism is essentially Nazism plus an expectation of paradise. It's Nazism plus religious fanaticism. Nazism plus an eagerness to be martyred and to see their children martyred.
Is there worth splitting hairs with the way that Nazis partnered with the church? I don't think it's still the same way. Like, you wouldn't win an argument with him about what he's referring to within Islam and martyrs and the church in Germany.
Yeah, well, I think that you could make an argument that Nazism is similarly a nearly religious fanatic. It might as well be, the same thing.
Yeah, but he's saying that's not fair to say it because it's not explicitly what they are. And
Yeah,
when you
I
put that
understand
on
that,
top
yeah.
of it, okay.
There are many differences between Nazism and jihadism, of course, but they only make the Nazis look comparatively benign. Okay, Nazism was a quasi-religious phenomenon.
Hey, I just said
These
that.
people were not rationalists. It was basically racist mysticism anchored to a cult of personality. But the Nazis didn't use their own women and children as human shields. That would have been worse. How could you have made Auschwitz worse?
Oh, boy.
Well, you could have given the guards a belief system that made them feel actual religious ecstasy as they herded innocent people into gas chambers. That would have been worse. And it would have been worse had these beliefs been central to the worldview of a majority of ordinary Germans.
So he's
and
talking
therefore
about,
difficult to separate from.
he's talking about extremists, though, right? And the banality of evil of Nazi Germany was you had all these people that were just doing their jobs. That is what created like the machine of it so much more.
But there were also people like Goebbels that,
Yeah.
that really took pleasure in what they were doing.
Was
So
he
I
the
don't know
main
if
character in that movie, or was it a like lesser known guy?
I think it was supposed to be a lesser known guy,
That
but
the
similar.
Oscar movie.
Yeah,
He was the head of the camp that was next to his house.
right. The point of view.
I don't want
what's
to
it called?
spoil it. I shouldn't have spoiled it. It's
Yeah.
part of that movie you reviewed.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of understand what he's saying. I think that he's splitting some hairs here to make it to be more spicy. But I don't. I mean,
Should I like just sack up and think I could win in an argument with? I feel like that's a mistake to tell him that you think he's wrong.
I mean, I've said I thought he was wrong before on this show.
Oh, sure, occasionally, yes, yeah, but I feel like
he's not always right.
I feel like he has 5 answers for any thought that you
Probably
have,
does. Probably does.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I would want to be very well prepared if I were going to stand on a debate stage.
I guess what I mean is, like, I hear that and I'm like, I off the top of my head, like, I guess I understand what you mean more than I'd say, okay, but you're wrong. Is that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
What is that? What's that called? Like, I don't agree with you. I understand what you mean, and I don't know that I'm equipped enough to be able to say why I think you're wrong on that. But I'm inclined to disagree with you.
Yeah. I don't know what the word for that is, but I
guess I'm
understand the
inclined
emotion.
to disagree with you.
I'm inclined to disagree.
Language. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we have a clip at the end of the Culture Wars from Fareed Zakaria where he talks about sort of we have to have the ability to communicate with people that we disagree with.
Yes. Yeah. I guess we'll talk about that more there. I can't tell if it's 2 episodes in a row or 2 of the last 3 episodes. I've played a Joy Reid clip.
I think it's 2.
Okay. This is Joy Reid playing a clip about Big Mike.
What we're going to do is introduce legislation to require that every single person who registers to vote in a federal election must prove that they're an American citizen first.
Yep, those prominent election deniers have a plan to further undermine our elections by trying to make voting harder. Now, before I go any further, non-citizens, zoom in.
You know what she's going to say. Because we can spin off into the argument that maybe half our audience is thinking, which is like, well, yeah, I don't want illegals voting. Well, what happens when you try to?
Get me here. Cannot cannot vote in federal elections and have not been able to do so for decades. It's literally illegal. Literally. Also,
there are some counties or local elections where, like, I think in, like, the places you'd imagine, where they let non-citizens, illegals, however you want to say it, vote for local things.
Yeah, but that always gets spun out of proportion because people will throw that out there and not include that part you just did, where people think that they can vote in federal elections.
Right.
That's not the case. They can
But
vote for
Mike
their school
Johnson
board-
went down to
school board.
fucking Mar-a-Lago
Yeah.
to, like, kiss the feet of the former president or suck the toes, like you said last week. Gross, Alan. Like
The ultimate load.
and he comes back and says, we're going to do this. We're going to introduce a bill that's going to ban non-citizens from voting. Like, it's just,
We already have that.
yes.
And people
Also,
do get
that's a good
prosecuted
point.
under that law.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. All right. Well, I think most of our election segment is actually just update on Trump's trials. Not a lot of clips. I think we have most of the stuff Trump's been doing fits into the best of the Trump cult in the second half. This is so big news on this front is just that they're doing jury selections in the trial, and Trump has been at the courthouse the last couple of days.
The judge said he had to be.
Yes, judge says he has to be. Yeah. So this is outside the courthouse the night before. Oh, this is outside Trump Tower the night before. New York City. There's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
So now that's okay. That's not the jury pool, but that's an example of a segment of the jury pool. I did send you an article. It's a Washington Post article. If you can take a look at it for the Friday show. They grabbed 12 random people on the street and asked them questions as if they were jurors. It's kind of interesting, but it's not a true sample size, but it's interesting. So this is what would happen if he was convicted. So this is the Lawfare podcast. I think they asked.
Can I just update what's going on with the jury real quick before I don't know if you have clips for that.
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So I mean, Manhattan, the borough where he's being tried is like 80-something%, Democrat leaning. So, but that doesn't mean that you can't be a fair and impartial juror. And on Monday, it felt like we might be picking a jury for like weeks, just to get enough people that both sides would agreed to have on the jury, and because they didn't get any on Monday. Today they got 7. 7 have been sworn in.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. So they need 5 more. Yeah, there's a lot of movement in one day. They need 5 more, and then they need however many alternates the judge decides they want to have. So probably, maybe 9 more. The judge instructed the 7 who were selected for the jury today to be there on Monday morning. So it looks like it's possible we could hear the opening on Monday. It could begin.
No
and
way.
We were thinking this was going to take forever, but they got 7 in one day.
Wow.
So yeah, it's moving a lot faster than expected. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That soon. That's
Yeah.
That's a Datsun joke, right? There's like 1973 and somewhere in Tokyo. They're like, we need to get these cars out by next month. Oh, that's soon. And then that's how they named the car.
My dad.
That's what Nissans used to be.
Yeah. The first car I remember my dad having was a Datsun truck. He had a little Datsun truck. In fact, the earthquake that happened between the Bay Bridge series, the Oakland
89.
Yeah, I was my dad was working on the truck. He was underneath it.
Oh dear.
I think it was either that or the Kalinga earthquake.
You could probably push that off if
no, it must have been earlier. It couldn't have been that one. It was earlier. It was the Kalinga earthquake. So I was probably like 3 or 4 years old. And my dad was yelling at me because he thought I was playing around the bed of the truck. And he's like, dude, I got this thing up on stilts. You get out, knock it off. It's like, wasn't me.
No, you need to get out from under there, dude. Now.
Yeah.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
Do you know what Nissan means now? Oh, sorry. The Datsun. That's not the origin of Datsun, but they did change it to Nissan, and Nissan.
I don't know what that means. No.
It means like born in Japan.
Really?
Isn't that weird?
Oh, that actually kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
I can see that. Okay.
There's a whole link. Way taught me about that yesterday. I think I had another Trump clip.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I was going to play it. So this is what would happen if he was convicted of a felony for the hush money, right?
Oh, yes.
He'll be eligible for probation. This is an E felony if he's convicted, which is the lowest level felony. He's nonviolent. It's a first offender.
Wait for it.
And
all the lawyers on the call laughed.
He made himself laugh.
Let me do it.
So he's eligible for probation.
So good for him. They say he'd get at a max, he'd get like a year to a year and a third in jail if convicted.
Potentially. And then there are multiple counts. So some of the counts are misdemeanors. Some of them are those classy felonies.
Classy
felonies. Yeah. So actually, I think it could technically, some of those counts that are class E felonies could be stacked.
I feel like lying about paying a porn star off so that it doesn't undermine your election and nobody finds out, your wife doesn't find out that you're fucking a porn star while she was nursing your now
kid.
graduating son.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a classy felony.
It's very classy.
As felonies go, right?
Classy felony might be the show title.
It's already on the I wrote it down. What did you think I was
Okay.
doing over there? Yeah. Get with it, Alan. Come on. It's like 3 thoughts ago.
So I think
you
it's
need
probably
ADD too. No, that would be terrible. We need you to not have the ADD. That's how the show works.
I think probably it's more important just to have a conviction than whatever sentencing or whatever happens. I wouldn't
Right,
really
but the
care.
entire point of this case is they took a misdemeanor and gave a felony. Can you explain that? So there's a felony enhancement to it, right? And I think that that's a perfect opportunity for Trump to try to spin things to confuse people that I don't have time to pay attention to the news. What would you say to that person to just be like, hey, whenever that gets spun for you, there's a really basic understanding of it?
He intentionally lied about what was happening, tried to cover his tracks in the way that he paid Cohen back.
So he had his fixer pay her off, and then he paid him back as legal expenses.
Right.
But why is that? Why does that matter? That sounds like a misdemeanor.
Because it was during his run up to the campaign, and
It was intentionally to prevent the public from knowing details about a candidate.
And at the same time, he was interacting with the National Enquirer guy that ran that.
David Pecker, come on, David Pecker.
Argued to catch and kill any other stories like the Karen McDougal one, etc. So it was an active attempt to obscure his wrongdoings from the public.
Yeah. Okay. You passed the test, Alan. So it's not about hush money. People call it a hush money trial. This guy, some people find him annoying. I found him insightful. Tristan Snell.
Stop calling it the hush money case. Seriously, start calling it what it actually is, a campaign cover-up to hide the truth from the American people on the eve of the 2016 election. That is what Trump is actually on trial for. Paying hush money to a porn star he had an affair with makes...
Not an affair. He fucked this lady and paid her to not talk about it and signed an NDA. That an affair is like an ongoing tryst, right? Like this, an affair is what happened with that McDougal lady.
Yes.
Who is going to come up in this trial, right? So McDougal was a former playmate, right?
Mm-hmm. He likes former playmates.
She was the one that he was like continually having like a sexual and romantic relationship with something. I'm going to say romantic and Donald Trump in the same sentence. But both of these events took place while she was nursing Barron Trump. Barron Trump, who's about to graduate in May, I think. And there was a whole thing in the trial. I don't know if this is busted out of the right-wing ecosystem yet, but you're going to see it tomorrow if you haven't yet. Everybody's going to be talking about how the judge won't let Trump go to his son's graduation.
I saw it.
Okay. Do you know the truth of that?
I think the judge said
regarding that. It was
he said, be good. We'll see how you do.
Yes. It was basically like, hey man, I'm not going to say you can't go, but the way you've been behaving, I can't say you definitely can go. I need to be able to not say That was close. I need to be able to not be on record saying that you can definitely go. James has pointed out that I'm more careful with my words. He's like, I need to not be on record saying you can for sure go because you might do something to jeopardize your ability to be a free man on that day. And because the day before, Trump's going to push the envelope and be like, what, you're going to not let me go to my kid? I'm Jose Canseco.
Right. He had to snap at him today because one of the potential jurors of like Facebook activity or whatever was brought up by his Trump's defense team, and Trump mumbled something under his breath, and the judge was like, "Hey, I can't have you intimidating jurors or potential jurors."
No, you cannot do that, Donald.
So yeah, essentially he said, "Hey, if you're a good boy, I'll let you probably let you."
He didn't say you can't. And if you're saying he can't, it's because you think that he doesn't have enough impulse control to keep himself out of jail.
Makes you a philandering sleazeball asshole. But he paid the hush money to Michael Cohen, then had Michael Cohen deliver fake invoices to make it look like phony legal bills to Michael Cohen. All so he could silence Stormy Daniels right ahead of the 2016 election and hide it all from the American people. It was a campaign finance violation. That $130,000 to Stormy Daniels was actually an in-kind campaign contribution to Trump's own campaign that he did not report. That's a crime under federal law. And in New York, as in a lot of states, if you falsify business records in the name of committing another crime, to cover up another crime, those two things together equal a felony. So that's why we need to start calling it what it is, a campaign cover-up.
So I like
Stop calling it the...
I like this guy because I don't have a button.
Isn't that something?
Democrats suck at messaging, and there's a handful of Democrats that are being effective at trying to be like, look, they are beating your ass on the right. And we need to turn the other cheek. No, you need to stop turning the other cheek. And this is how you just be direct with your messaging, have not like a catchphrase to it, but the thing is, even this is a little too wordy. Most people are still going to tune out to that, but it is important that it isn't just about, it's not hush money case. It's hush money to allow his campaign as a campaign violation, which should be important to all of us. That affects all of us.
Yeah. I mean, and so he doesn't mention a couple of things there, but so Cohen actually fronted the money to Stormy Daniels. So he took out like an equity loan on his house to
and
pay
was
for
the way he did that suspicious?
Well, it's just further shows there were attempts to make it more obscure.
To insulate it.
Yeah, and then when Trump paid him back, he actually paid him more than $130,000.
And it was to cover the interest on that loan?
Well, no. It was to cover the taxes Cohen would have to pay on it because now it's income because it's for legal fees.
Wow.
So he's like, hey,
Cohen's a lawyer, right? Cohen's like, excuse me, Mr. Trump, I know I'm your right-hand man and you're a strong guy, but it's going to cost me more than $130.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. That's a pretty good Michael Cohen impression. He sounds exactly like what you'd think he would sound like. That is one thing satisfying about that guy.
Indeed.
I think ask you a question. We'll get out of here.
Halftime, yes.
Yeah, it's time for a beer. Do you no, you don't get the cicadas where you live. So there's there's two broods of cicadas that are coming out this spring and early summer. There's like a southeast brood and a Midwest brood, and they kind of overlap around us. And I'm so excited for it because I like the sound of the cicadas. It's like this,
really,
it's a really loud hum, but it's like, it's a nice background noise. It's better than my neighbor's air conditioner. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But I feel bad because not everybody's going to get to enjoy it. So in order to live in Florida and go to that, you'd have to cross state lines, but there's two different types. There's a 13-year brood and a 17-year brood, which is like how often they come out.
Life cycle.
And they're that's from birth to their death. Right. So the 17-year-olds are in the Midwest, and Matt Gaetz isn't allowed to cross state lines for a 17-year-old anymore. It's a long way to go. I'll work on it.
See you on the B-side.
We got our Padres and Giants hats on.
Hey, let's go.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought this would be. Dude, the dog next door is just barking.
I can't hear it.
Oh, good. We could start with an actual like just asking question coming back, but do you want to read this? If this is funny enough, we'll just go with this. Because I mean, the first part of the second half is making fun of the Trump cult. There's something called a Parker warning. It's after Charlie Parker, I think, the jazz musician. That seems weird, right? It's like you and your saxophones. That's it.
Yeah.
Parker warnings. These are the warnings that the judge read to Trump to start the trial or to start the jury selection. So judge says, you have the right to be present during the trial and to assist your attorneys. Do you understand? Trump says, yes. If you disrupt the proceedings, that's what you were talking about. You can be excluded from the courtroom and committed to jail based on your conduct. This is a weird way to start the second half. Do you understand? I do. If you do not show up, there will be an arrest. Do you understand? That's what you were talking about, huh?
Yeah, he has to be there.
That made a lot more sense conversationally. Well, you know what? Sometimes we wing it. You know what? That's fine for the Patreon, though.
Yeah, it's fine.
47 cut rejoiner. You know, now that I only cut like 2 or 3 sections of the show, I'm able to post the show the same night. It's fucking wonderful. Like,
that's awesome, dude.
And I think that says a lot about our ability to like string some shit together. Although I'm doing it poorly today. I feel like I am not 100% mentally. Am I coming across fine?
Yeah, you're coming across fine.
All right. You like it? You like it better when I come back to the show with a silly thought?
I do.
All right, this one's a really silly thought.
Do tell.
Well, I was talking about how we had to get rid of Jack this weekend. God, that sounds worse.
That sounds
hand Jack off to. Wow.
Take Jack to his forever home.
Yes. What did you know what I just said actually has a lot to do with the story I'm going the joke I'm
okay.
tell you. But first, I need to tell you about something that happened on the way down to Chattanooga that I totally forgot about. And this is the most significant thing that happened in my life that weekend besides the dog.
Okay.
So we're driving down there. Natasha's got a weird tire sensor error that comes on, but there's no like flip, 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 flip. So we're like, okay, well, let's make it to the gas station. We'll be good. It's like all 4 tires are flat. And we're like, no, that's not true. So, and it's summer. It's getting hotter. So if anything, you'd have higher tire pressure. So it wasn't like in winter when you get your alerts. So we exit off the highway and it feels like a stop sign. You ever have those ones where it feels like it should have been a stop sign, and then you're halfway through the intersection, you looked up and you're like, "Oh, it was red. That was a light. It was red, but it was a light." Yeah. Have you ever had that happen? Be honest.
I have.
Okay.
I have. Yes.
And nobody's coming, so you're like, "This is fine, right?"
Right.
So that takes place, but then when we turn left, so the gas station is on the opposite side of the highway, so we have to go over the overpass, right? So when we turn left to go onto the overpass, they're doing road work on it, and it's down to only 1 lane. I don't know if you're going to see this coming. Because I didn't.
Okay.
So that seemed odd, but all right. So, I'm only going like 500 feet, right? So I'm going, before I know it, there's this white car in front of me, way at the other side of the bridge. I'm like, why is that guy on my road? And then I'm like, I did not have a green light. And there's only 1 lane here. So they're coordinating the lights so that one lane can
so now you have you're essentially on a one-way road.
He's got K-rails on each side of us. So they can't move. Like he had to go into reverse. Luckily, there wasn't like 10 cars and it became like a coordination issue. He goes into reverse far enough that I could pull into the shoulder and just like tell him, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Luckily, it was a fucking Tesla. Like imagine if that was like a truck. He's like, fuck you, you back. Yeah. Which honestly, by the time I noticed him, I should have backed up, but it didn't connect with me. Like this was like, I failed 100%. Like this was not like, sometimes you can offload this onto someone else and blame someone. No, man. Like, and the whole time I'm like, this is so like the only thing that would have been worse is if a cop was there. Like, thank God it was rural Tennessee. Like, oh my God, it was so
These things happen. These things happen for sure.
Oh, I'm so tense just thinking about it. But anyways, I was giving Jack a belly rub, and Petra, you give her belly rubs. You do big old belly rubs. Give those big belly rubs. The only thing that's a little weird is they got so many nipples, and sometimes I think they like it. But sometimes though, when you're giving the boy dogs a belly rub, it's like fine line before you get down to where the thing is, and you're just
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh,
gotta
yeah,
be.
well, yeah, and you don't know, and then you're like, oh god, you know. So I'm only a girl dog guy now, which sounds weird to say in that context too, but
Yeah, I don't think I'd post that on social media.
no. Do you think? Okay. What about say it on our podcast? Well, why don't we talk about the Trump cult then? Like
Let's
that
do it.
seems like a good way to get out of
Yeah.
that.
Nice transition.
That's what happens when I don't pick the clips or my questions. You just gotta wing it and feel it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, So pro-choice and pro-Trump. God, this is a fucking left turn.
What are your thoughts on abortion?
I think it's your own choice.
Yeah.
You can't really decide.
Yeah. You don't want
You don't know.
So I feel bad for her. So this is after Trump said, I mean, just put your head around this. Like, if you see me try to summarize Trump's statement last week, I'm like, how do I even say that right? Like, we were a pro-choice situation, and now they're saying we need to remove that so that you can choose. Hold on, like
They
there.
want the states to choose.
I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your brain around. I
And like if you're like, and I'm a smart guy, I'm struggling sometimes to just like inhabit that mental space. But imagine if you were a dummy, right? You're like, well, Trump said we should be able to choose, so I think it's about choice. And then you get into this.
What the situation is.
So you consider yourself pro-choice?
Yes, pro-choice.
Are you upset that Donald Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade? And
she knew what that meant when she agreed with him. It's like I heard him say that the states should choose, so I'm pro-choice.
Yeah.
Took that choice away from so many people?
I don't think it should be taken away, no.
And it doesn't bother you that Trump appointed the justices that overturned Roe v. Wade?
It doesn't bother me at all. I think he's the best man for the job. We have nobody else that is.
But he did take away the choice for a lot of women because of that. That doesn't bother you. Now women don't have that choice.
Have something in place. If he made that decision, he's a great businessman, and I'm not going to go.
Have we check on the stocks, Alan? Have you taken a look at Donald J. Trump? Last time I saw it was at like 23.
Yeah.
So whenever we play this, we usually preface it with like, look, we know that this is not the average Trump voter, but oh boy, man, like that is, I mean, this is what I think what we try to say a lot is how that represents what changed with the populism that came in with Trump was people that probably wouldn't have voted before were like, well, I like this celebrity guy and he's a big business guy. He's smart. And, like he was a popular person. Right. And that just brought out voters that normally wouldn't have. And that doesn't still get you a popular vote, but it gets you
right.
in the States.
Well, and you see in her attempt to defend her position, just the inability to do so. And
right. Like, because it didn't come back to like anything she believed or knows.
Right. And here's the thing is, Trump doesn't believe anything either. Like that's why that's why he just goes back and forth on these stances. There's no backbone there. So it's down to 2284.
No.
Yeah, dude. So
is there anything that can be done? Like, can he do anything to create value there? Like,
they made some announcement they're going to do some sort of television venture today, but yeah, it's a sinking ship for sure.
You think so? Like, you feel that comfortable saying that?
Yeah, pretty comfortable saying that. I mean, I'm sure they'll find they will find ways to get cash infusions to sort of continue probably operations for a while, but eventually that's going to dry up, and it's just they don't have the revenues to sustain what they're doing, so it's like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, because it's been losing money, right? And like it should have got money from this, but now they've lost that, right? I mean, it's below half its value on opening.
Yeah, it was like what, $70 something on opening day?
Something at least.
Yeah, 69.
I remember
69.
That.
Nice.
Breaking news.
And 40 minutes ago, you wrote an observation that I was very surprised. Trump appears to be sleeping. His head keeps dropping down and his mouth goes slack. Tell us about that.
So they got Maggie Haberman,
from New York Times.
CNN, from the New York Times, like prestige reporter, to go on CNN Live and say, yes, sir, it is in fact true, sir. I did see the former president, sir. He nodded his head. His mouth was open. His lawyer passed him a note. He did, in fact, appear to be sleepy. Back to you, sir. Like, that's just weird. That's weird. Like I have a lot of thoughts about this, but like I need to address that before we treat it too seriously. That's like, this is where we've come to.
Her response was almost a little bit snarky. You could tell she's like, "What do you mean? Yeah, I saw him sleeping."
Yeah, like I have a fucking here.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep, and he repeatedly his.
Want to fucking make this headline news? I guess so.
His head was.
That's
Imagine
hilarious.
being that reporter and knowing that that's what the media will do to it.
Right.
Like, she's a part of the media. I know that.
Well, Jake, he appeared to be asleep.
Wait, just imagine being like, I know this. I saw this. I can't not report this, but I know the way this is going to be reported. Like, that's giving her a lot of benefit of the doubt because I think she's a part of that beast. But this is her being like, even for us, this is a lot. Like,
I think she's a really good reporter. I think she's
what?
probably one of the best. She's a really
I think
good
she is
reporter.
too. I feel like there was something recently it might have been I can't remember, but there was some episode of the Daily where I was like, she's not the one that. No, that's Jacobson. Okay, let me go back to this clip.
Would fall down. There have been other moments in other trials, like the Agent Carroll trial, which was around the corner in January, where he appeared very still and seemed as if he might be sleeping, but then he would move. This time, he didn't pay attention to a note that his lawyer, Todd Blanche, passed him. His jaw kept falling on his chest, and his mouth kept going slack. Now, sometimes people do fall asleep during court proceedings, but it's notable given the intensity of this morning and a lot of what was being argued.
Yeah, I think that's the point, right? It's like this is the first time this has ever fucking happened. We have never had a president be on trial. You, sir, are facing a criminal conviction here. Like one, just the precedence of being the first president to have that happen to them, but also like you should, like, this shouldn't be what gets you tired, but it's so like, once you think about him, that's exactly what you think that he is, right? It's like, it's technically about me, but not right now. They're like talking about other things. So like, I don't care. That's got to be what he's like in cabinet meetings, right?
Right.
Like, this is so like when you talk about all the drawbacks from Sleepy Joe, which like, yeah, we like, I still think it's a false equivalence because I think Joe has some competence in governance. I think things have worked out for Trump very well, and he has a positive outlook on life. That's what's worked out for Trump. Like it neither of them are who I want to be leading us right now. And I'm not even saying like, and because of that, I support Joe Biden. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you are concerned about Joe Biden's competency and ability, this man is showing you that when he's in a courtroom for his livelihood, if it wasn't like centered on him, he got tired and fell asleep. Maybe because he was up late tweeting or troughing.
Yeah, I mean, there were people in the administration or people like that had to brief him, like in the FBI, CIA, national security, whatever, and they talked about like having to essentially narrow it down so he would stay engaged with the material. They couldn't do it like they normally would have done it for other presidents. He's just not intellectually very curious. So it's not about me.
And it's not that he isn't like, doesn't have the ability to like latch on to something and make good decisions about something. I'm not saying that. You're saying he's not intellectually curious. Like, you have to, in the briefing, explain why it's important to him.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's just like him falling asleep in court did hit all of those buttons. Where's Dr. Ronnie? Remember that pill mill they were running out of Trump's?
Oh yeah,
he needed his Provigil, or at least his British Sudafed. Remember, he gets the Sudafed,
the good stuff.
Yeah, where it's still got the uppers in it. Yeah, it's crazy. Imagine being so comfortable with being in criminal court that you're like, I'm just gonna take a nap. I'm just gonna rest my eyes for a little bit. The Donald J. Trump. Or DJT, the stock, right? The D stands for drowsy. Okay. Right? These aren't that good.
He's like, the judge just said I had to be here. He didn't say I had to be awake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he didn't do it in front of the jury. That was all prior to any jurors being in that room, potential jurors even being in that room. So there is that. Because I heard people say that where they're like, oh, well, this is the way he acts. Like, what do you think the potential jurors are going to think of him? It's like, no. And that goes back into column A, where it's like, yeah, it wasn't about him enough in that moment for him to care.
Right.
Like, people here. I'll do that. Which like, yeah, me, but not like I've never been in that position. I feel like I'd be pretty keyed up for whether or not I'm going to be the first president to go to jail for a year.
Yes, I would imagine I would be a little stressed.
Um,
Certainly not taking naps.
He did it again today, by the way. He did it 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
You saw that? I saw it yesterday. It was like right before the show. I was like, oh my God, he fucking did it again. He's going to make it a bit. He's going to do it every day. He's like, yeah, done it 2 days.
Start selling t-shirts of him just like
Sleepy Dawn.
Passed out. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a hashtag. I meant it Sleepy Dawn in the context of that. I forgot that people were trying to spread that. I'm not trying to spread Democrat hashtags. I wish the judge had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You ever have a teacher that had a sense of humor when kids would fall asleep in class? Were you ever in a class where that happened?
Yes, definitely.
Everybody like left the room like as quietly as they could.
To do something to mess with them, yeah.
I had a kid fall asleep with his head on his math book, and the teacher didn't do anything, but this was the best story of that in my life. The kid woke up from like a dead sleep, and he just did what like kids do when they wake up. He just goes and lifts his head straight up, right? But he had drooled, and then it dried onto his face, and he tore the page out of the book. And, his face, and he's just like this big round Korean head just staring left and right, like mouth agape. Like you can see that in your head right now, right? Probably
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like it was hilarious. Like one of the funniest things that's ever happened in my life.
I fell asleep on a conference call once, and
No,
fortunately, but I was working from home, and I was working for a company based in Jersey, so they were 3 hours ahead of me. So I had to get up at like, I don't know, like 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever for this conference call. And I was so tired, and I don't remember I just woke up on the couch like an hour later and the call was over, and I still had my head on, and I was like
a final moment. They're like, I guess we lost Alan. Everything was fine. Hey, did that company based out of Jersey rhyme with Schmed, Schmath, and Schmeon?
No, it did not. It was a tiny little company.
Oh, tiny little spot. Okay.
They did cell phones. We were selling cell phones. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm done there. Why did I say? I asked you if you knew why Wednesdays were days off.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
So Buzz Burbank explained that. So we've heard about that, and we listened to the Lawfare blog or Lawfare podcast, and those guys are all legal experts. You'd think they'd know, like they know a lot about all these judges, right?
Right.
Like a lot of them have worked with these judges in their past lives.
Yes.
Clerked with them, things like that. So I've never heard an explanation. What are we talking about for the listeners, Alan? Sorry.
So the court in New York, where Trump is currently being tried, they take Wednesdays off as well as weekends. So they only
not Fridays, not Mondays. Like
Right.
nobody
Monday,
gets a 3-day weekend. It's Wednesdays off.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday is their operating schedule, and I didn't know why.
Yes. Well, you're going to be impressed.
We're about to find out.
Yes.
When Judge Mershon took the bench, he thought it would.
The judge in that trial, Judge Mershon.
Mershon took the bench. He thought it would be a good idea, and he's right, to create for that jurisdiction a mental health court.
Nice.
Which he presides over as the head of mental health court, and he does so with great compassion.
Yeah.
He congratulates people who started taking their meds and turned their lives around. And
I love feisty Buzz Burbank. Like I love like passion in his voice.
Yeah.
Especially as he gets older, it's just like it's endearing, right? Like I just
absolutely.
I know this is for an audience of you right now, like and Taylor. Like it makes me so happy to hear Buzz just still have like that fire in him
and turn their lives around, and congratulate and thanks them for stepping up for the sake of their children. I mean, emotional stuff happens in his courtroom on Wednesday.
Well, so it's Wednesdays. That's why he has Wednesdays off, because he does
mental health court. That is really cool. That's admirable. I did not know that.
And I feel like there'd be plenty of things to actually harass this judge about if he was a piece of shit. He sounds like a good guy.
He sounds like a pretty good dude.
Would want to preside over your trial and get a fair judgment, right?
Yeah.
Like, or you can make an enemy out of him, which it would be weird if Trump didn't do that. So I understand that. I played this on the Friday show and the pre-show. He keeps saying the will of the people. I don't want to talk about abortion anymore. Can we move on? He had funnier things, and this is more about highlighting some of the best of the Trump cult. So
let's see what's next.
You've seen this clip of him at Gettysburg? Or
yes,
so he had a rally, because he does his rallies once a week now. He had a rally in Pennsylvania, and I'm playing the longer clip, it might be the same length as some of the others. This is the clip that, wait, hold on. one of these starts earlier. No, that's it. Oh, this is it. This one's better. So, most people play this about 10 seconds later, but I wanted to play it a little bit earlier because in this one, he starts talking about other famous battles, not just Gettysburg. Gettysburg happens in Pennsylvania. Alan, which war did Gettysburg happen in?
The Civil War.
Okay. Which war did George Washington cross the Delaware?
The War of Independence with the British.
Yeah, Revolutionary War. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now, maybe
did he cross current these?
I mean, if they didn't put Pennsylvania so close to all these things, I'm sorry, if they didn't put Philadelphia so close to all these things, we wouldn't get
Right.
them
Sure.
Yeah.
You might not be presenting the right one.
You know what? Thank you. I appreciate you doing that so quickly.
Theirs was much worse. It's where the Army weathered its brutal winter at Valley Forge, where General George Washington led his men on a daring mission across the Delaware, and where our Union was saved by the immortal heroes at Gettysburg. Gettysburg, what a...
I feel like he's conflating all of those. Like, I feel like, do you feel like he thinks they're happening all at the same place?
I do feel like he thinks they're happening all at the same time, at least.
Am I being too?
And I had not heard that first part, by the way. I hadn't heard,
So here's the clip most people have been playing because it's worth talking about.
Where our Union was saved by the immortal heroes at Gettysburg. Gettysburg, what an unbelievable battle that was. The Battle of Gettysburg, what an unbelievable. I mean, it was so much and so interesting and so vicious and horrible and so beautiful in so many different ways.
How many different ways would you describe the beauty of 5,000 dead donkeys and mules, Alan? Horses and mules. 5,000. And I'm sure that comes with a lot of horse and mule shit, right?
Yeah. I'm sure
how many beautiful different ways would you think of to describe that? How about now, before you answer that, because I don't want you to waste all your good adjectives there. How beautiful in so many different ways would you describe over 7,000 dead men and 5,000 dead horses and mules, and probably human and horse shit, as long as we're
and they didn't have Febreze or anything back then, so it probably didn't
beautiful in so many different ways.
Sometimes
Ways
you just have to appreciate the art.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a Pollock.
Such a big portion of the success of this country.
Look at that guy in the background. Look at where I'm pointing. Look at him. Even this guy, he's like, what the fuck's he talking about?
He's like, what's happening?
He's like, you sure, bro? You sure about that? Like, I mean, I'm here to support you anyways, but I don't know. Like, he's on to it. He's like, this guy's winging the fucking test. Like, this is a oral board exam, and he's like, I can do it.
Gettysburg,
vicious and beautiful.
Wow. I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch.
I go to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania to look and to watch. Like, why? Like, to look and to watch?
And the statement of Robert E. Lee, who's no longer...
Maybe he's talking about the Civil War reenactors. He goes there to look and to watch at the reenactors.
I don't think
mean, that's
he would...
the best example. I mean, what other thing would he be looking? Wow, look at that field. Look at that.
There's no way he has the attention span to watch a Civil War reenactment.
No,
I don't think so.
He goes, that's actually a great point. And then, so he starts to say Robert E. Lee. I wish I could back this up like 5 seconds. So he's like, and Robert E. Lee, who's no longer in favor. Alan, all of our commentary on this is about to pivot because it's like just when you thought something dumb. So up until now, it's like this guy is like, so the meme, I'm not going to say it the way everybody else I've heard talked about this said this the way the meme says it. I've heard multiple podcasts be like, it's like when you go up to give the book report, but you didn't read the book. It's like, yeah, I saw that meme too. I can't believe you're saying that on your show. Okay, it is what it's like though. Now he's gonna pivot. This is a different thing. This is
different thing.
Crazy specific shit that he's gonna say Robert E. Lee said with an accent that I'm pretty sure Robert E. Lee wasn't a ye-timey Irishman.
Longer in favor. Did you ever notice that? No.
Oh, he said Robert E. Lee is no longer in favor. Did you ever notice that?
Did you notice that?
Did you ever notice that the leader of the Confederates?
Yeah,
no longer
weird.
in favor. So,
no longer in favor. He got
by the way,
canceled.
he's in Pennsylvania. Last time I checked, I was in the North the whole time. I mean, they were fighting, but like that was like, you know what? Pennsylvania, you Yankees up here, did you know, isn't it weird that Robert E. Lee so no longer in favor? Like he's still alive, right? Like, oh, after recent events, Robert E. Lee no longer in favor. It's like, no, the shit he did back then that made people not like him, still disfavorable, unfavorable, whatever. Okay.
No longer in favor. Never fight uphill, me boys. Never fight uphill.
He did go to Irish.
So he goes, Robert E. Lee, who's no longer in favor. And then he starts saying something that we're supposed to believe that Trump thinks Robert E. Lee said.
Never fight uphill, me boys.
Never fight uphill, which just makes me think of all of his fans storming the Capitol and running up those steps that day. Like, not uphill. Oh, no,
you
no,
can't
no.
make this shit up, man.
I've actually heard that line is a line from the movie, and I tried to find a clip from it. So either it's not from the movie, or there's not a lot of clips from The Outsiders. But the outside, apparently that line, never fight uphill, me boys, never fight uphill, is from the scene in The Outsiders before they have a fight at the ski resort outside of Tulsa. So I don't understand. Like, maybe Trump likes The Outsiders and he's just quoting The Outsiders and being like, which, by the way, do you want to talk about fighting uphill?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm not a military history strategy buff. Like, if somebody knows this better than me, by all means, correct me. My understanding of that battle went this way. The Union Army like strategically retreated or like fought back against the rebels, but as they retreated, they went uphill. They allowed the rebels to gain ground on them as they continued to take higher and higher ground, which I have the high ground. It's over, Anakin. Like, you're supposed to give up. So the Confederates fought the Union Army into the better position. So, and so over multiple days, like 3 days of the Battle of Gettysburg, the entire time, every day, Robert E. Lee was in fact telling them, go fight uphill, like do that. Like, maybe that's the point. He wasn't Irish. And if he said, me boys, never fight uphill, me boys. But yeah, like, it's just everything about this is so fucking dumb. And he's just like, if I talk long enough and I take up enough time, like, the person that fails this exam is the person that can't find words.
Right.
I know words.
I can put words out there.
Yeah.
How's it come to this?
I know words.
It was on a different screen. I was hunting for it. Yeah, to look and to watch. It's just groping at words like it's a pussy, right? If you're famous, they let you do it.
Let you do it.
That means grope at words.
Yeah, vicious and beautiful.
Never fight uphill.
It's like Slaughterhouse 5.
That was his funniest, like, stunt. That was his best bit of the weekend.
Yeah,
Okay.
That was definitely up there.
This was his best clip of the weekend. This will end up in the soundboard. He does like a Jerry Lewis impression. You know how Jerry Lewis said flavor flagging, right? Like, he starts off with a word, but he doesn't finish it. Like, it's going to nurse and ambul flagging. Right? I'm not a good Jerry Lewis impersonator, but you get the joke, right?
I follow, yes.
If you don't, you'll get it soon.
This week it was reported that an illegal thing, and you.
Have you heard this?
I don't think I heard that one. No.
Illegal this week it was reported that an illegal thing, and you just. It was reported that an illegal thing, and you just look at this. What's happening?
Aglino-fin. I don't know.
That's so silly. Like nobody says shit. Like
yeah. I hadn't even seen that clip. That's hilarious.
Look, it's old saying, like, if Biden said that, everybody would be talking about it. Like, I don't mean, but like, dude, nobody says shit when he does that. Little flaggle flag and fling. It's on here. Let's do it one more time.
An illegal thing, and you just look at this. What's happening? Just
look at this. What's happening?
It's an illegal flaggle flag flim. And you just look at this. What's happening? I don't know.
I know words. Magnified portion.
All right, I'm done. All right, let's move on to more of Best of the Right. There's actually some pretty good news subjects coming up in Best of the Right.
Okay.
I moved it down here because this would have been a very long first half. I think we'll have a very nice balanced first half.
Nice.
So this is initially I was going to talk about this after Israel and just say, yeah, but we still got that military aid coming. So I'm just going to play the first 30 seconds or so of Big Mike Johnson's speech or press conference yesterday.
Had a policy conference with all the House Republicans. We laid out the plan on how to finally address the supplemental situation. There are precipitating events around the globe that we're all watching very carefully, and we know that the world is watching us to see how we react.
These are literally the words that people have been saying to him for the last. Remember when him and Joe and Chuck Schumer all got into a room, and before they kicked the cameras out, they're like, "Well, the president knows. I mean, the speaker knows that, like, the world is going to keep track of how he responded, and like it might be unpopular now for you with your party, but you're gonna want to have feel good about the decisions you make in this moment later."
How do you want to be remembered? Your
He's
legacy.
saying that now. He's saying that now. And like, what's different? Iran shot missiles at Israel. I don't know what. Yeah.
We have terrorists and tyrants and terrible leaders around the world like Putin and Xi and in Iran, and they're watching to see if America will stand up for its allies.
It's literally what everybody's been saying to you for the last 6 months. Like I don't like money printer goes burr and we just give away all this shit anyways. But like you don't get to sit here today, say that like a Yankee today, and say the things that everyone's been like. At least when you say that, say sorry, right? Like if you're gonna agree with everybody, be like, you know what, I was wrong. You're like, oh, it's so annoying. It's so annoying.
And in our own interest around the globe, and we will. What I presented to the conference tonight is our play call on this. What we'll do is bring to the House floor independent measures. We won't be voting on the Senate supplemental in its current form.
Can you talk about the 4 bills or 3 bills?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you talk about that. We don't have to listen to that.
So he split them up essentially. So there's one for Ukraine.
Split the baby?
One for Israel.
Baby.
And so that way, members of his caucus can vote their conscience essentially and still.
But didn't he like do it in a way where the authorization for having them all passed would come under like one motion? How wasn't there some finesse to it?
So they're going to vote on them all individually, and then when they send them to the Senate, they're going to bundle them all as one package.
Oh.
So the Senate won't just have to vote on that one single
And
package.
is that for time saving, or is that to also reduce conflict in the Senate?
It's supposed to reduce conflict in the House and then make it go faster, I think, in the Senate.
Okay. Because it's expected, everything's expected to get passed in the Senate.
Yes.
They're all Democratic babies.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I think you have a note here, so I don't know if I'm stepping on anything, but
Oh, go ahead. I'm not looking.
MTG has come out and said that she wants to remove him as speaker.
Yeah, I have a clip
least
of him responding to that, but
Okay.
go ahead. No, go ahead, because I think
she's had at least one additional House member.
Okay,
say
stop
that,
it, Alan. I got 2 clips.
Okay, all right.
MTG. So, like, the fear is the reason that he hasn't done this is because he's being held hostage by the minority of his majority.
The far right of his caucus, yeah. So MTG's Matt Gaetz is,
yes, Matt Gaetz, yes.
Signing, and it is
Got a clip coming up about Matt Gaetz and why Kevin McCarthy actually quit.
it is, in my view, an absurd notion that someone would bring a vacate motion when we are simply here trying to do our jobs. It is not helpful to the cause. It is not helpful to the country. It does not help the House Republicans advance our agenda, which is in the best interest of the American people here: a secure border, sound governance. And it's not helpful to the unity that we have in the body. Look, we have a very
Look, this guy's Mr. fucking cool. Does his slight change in body language show you any concern? He seems a little perturbed.
He does seem a little bit upset, yes.
For him, like, it might not be that audibly detectable, but I think that for him, this is him a little anxious.
Mm-hmm.
important mission here. Our mission is very clear. The reason most of us, I can speak for the House Republicans, the reason every House Republican ran for Congress is that because they wanted to come here and help to save this beleaguered republic of ours. We want to save the country. We believe
That's enough of him with his sort of like lecturing and stuff, because he does have a style that is, it's honestly pretty effective. And I have a clip, I think, about that later on, maybe in Culture Wars. Where were you going with everything? I do have the clip of the second House member.
Okay. I mean, so this is on the heels of him going down to Mar-a-Lago on Friday, coming out with that press conference we already talked about.
And the president's not at Mar-a-Lago anymore, right? That's the former president.
Former
That's
president,
weird,
yes.
right? Like, that is weird.
Right.
Nobody's
And he
going
talks-
to Barack Obama during Trump's White House.
Right. He talks about border security. Meanwhile, the former president's the reason they couldn't advance that agenda previously when it had been already agreed to in a bipartisan way. So yeah, I mean, he's still on very, I think, shaky ground here. And there do seem to be members of his party that just kind of want to watch it burn. They're just
Yeah.
like, fuck it. So I mean, we knew that he would be in a similar type of place based on what had happened previously with McCarthy.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's no surprise that we're
nobody can
here.
walk that tightrope. You have too many different people that have their own pet things to be upset about, and they're all children, and they can't just be adults about it and be like, okay, well, I'm going to get most of what I want. Like, no,
Yeah.
they have like, and it's the same thing that I complain about with the left of like purity tests. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, like you need to be fighting against the people that aren't going to let you have future elections, and you want to argue over like a very important differential within your half of government. Like, just get together and fucking like get your shit together,
Let's move forward.
But
Yeah.
I mean, it just purity tests in general piss me off. It's why I'm not a libertarian. It's why no party seems to accept me, even though I'm like, hey, I kind of agree with most of it. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I didn't say the one fucking thing right.
Right.
So yeah, Republicans are dealing with their version of that, and this is a fucking Lincoln Project post, so they don't say who this is. By the looks of it, I think that's Thomas Massey. Is that Massey? He looks really smarmy and like sweaty, and Massey is kind of smarmy looking. I mean, he's from Kentucky, so it's like, okay, you've probably been outside, like it's humid, it's summer, I get it, but no.
I think it is. I think it is him. Yeah.
Massey. So they asked Massey, basically, like, listeners, if you don't understand what we're talking about, Republicans are insisting that the Republican leader of their chamber of Congress they're insisting he should resign. Like it's this guy's about to say it's a matter of time.
You want him to resign? You want him to resign? Yes. Yeah, I asked him to resign. What did he say? He said he would not. And then I said, well, you're the one who's going to put us into this. Because the motion is going to get called, okay? Does anybody doubt that? The motion will get called, and then he's going to lose more votes than Kevin McCarthy. You want him to...
That's good enough. Glad we don't have to listen to more Jaws on there.
Yeah, that was annoying background. Yeah. So the Dems have said that essentially they will save his job if it comes to that, as long as we can get the Ukrainian funding through. Of course, we've talked about that on the show previously. It's not a really good look for him. I mean, the right side of his caucus is already, trying to take him out, and it only looks worse if he is seen to be cooperating with the other side. It's only going to drive them to be more angry and more desire to kick him out of his role as Speaker of the House. So it's kind of a catch-22 thing for him at this point.
If the right side of your caucus is trying to take you out, you should probably go see a specialist.
Yeah, maybe get a man. They're really weird.
Sorry, I had to hit my caucus button. Sort of a palate cleanser, but on the subject.
Peter,
the Reason Roundtable podcast had, I always call Mike Johnson Big Mike.
Big Mike, yeah.
Trying to own that, take that back.
Mm-hmm.
I find that disgusting, the conspiracy. I honestly
agree.
don't mind if it pisses anyone off. Yeah, I don't even find it that funny.
No,
But,
and
I
we
mean,
don't
I have a
even have
sense of
to-
humor. Like, I can understand why you think it's funny. I'm just saying.
We don't even have to explain it. I think it's fine.
But the Reason Roundtable, they have this ongoing thing where they can't remember his name because they think he's like too bland. But I think that Peter Suderman, one of the editors at Reason Magazine, is hinting at the fact that you can remember his name because Big is his nickname.
See, that's House Speaker Mike Johnson, and I do remember his name. It's hard. He should have a more memorable name. Has now said he's going to sort of speed up House consideration of aid to Israel as well as Ukraine, which has been kind of on the back burner for a while. Do you have a sense there in Washington, D.C., where you are, of what, if any, kind of political fallout there is from this?
I think it's easy to remember his name if you just think of his nickname as being Big. I don't know.
I mean, he just said Big Mike, right?
He did. That's
My
interesting.
note- for the Patreon, they can see that note. It says pick comedy clips at 12:25 p.m. That comes up every Tuesday, so that I can narrow down the comedy clips you guys send in.
I see it now.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was funny because that's been my little thing. I'm like, are other people calling him Big Mike? So like you said, Big Mike went down to Mar-a-Lago. I'm playing a lot of fucking MSNBC here, bud. Here is Al Sharpton on Morning Joe. God, he is just turning more and more into a vampire, right? Like,
He really is.
We're normalizing the present Speaker of the House going to see a man facing 88 indictments and 4 trials
Trial
like
starts
this
Monday.
is normal. I think, and one trial starts in New York Monday. So let me get this right. The Speaker of the House, third in line to the presidency, is going to see a guy out on parole who has to be in criminal court Monday morning. And we expect our children to grow up in the same kind of world of respect for government that we did.
That's it. I played it for that line. Like, that is a valid point, and that's what we've been saying, right? Now, to be fair, when we were growing up, people our age that were maybe on one side of the spectrum were saying the same thing about Bill Clinton. But
Sure.
I don't know. Like, did that just normalize that in our childhood? And we're like, yeah, but he was still like, I feel like he was just a continuation of these presidents or politicians being slime balls. Like, again, I don't care. Trump fucked a porn star. I think it's notable that his wife was breastfeeding his child at the time, but fine. We grew up in the world of like pre-Me Too, right? So like politicians were all having bunga bunga parties and like JFK and Marilyn Monroe and all that, right? Like that didn't surprise me, but undermining a story so that the people that are voting for you don't find out about it, that to me is a crime. Like that's a big deal. I think Clinton's a piece of shit for the way he treated that intern that worshiped him, but like that didn't surprise me, and that didn't strike me. Like, I don't know, like, did we normalize something and move down from there, and that's just something generationally that's occurred and we've settled with Trump being normal?
So my instinct, anytime somebody brings up that sort of argument, is to say, well, the reason that it felt like things were more respectful then, I think that's the word he used, was because of what we had access to. And yeah, politicians cared about what you saw of them, that clip that would show up on the 5 o'clock news or 10 o'clock news, because that's probably the only thing you might hear from them for the whole month. You know what I mean? Like, so there was less access. There weren't 24/7 news channels. There wasn't the internet. So my sense is that, politicians have always been shitty, and done shitty things and made shitty decisions, and been, bent by the whims of whatever winds happen to be blowing their direction at that moment.
And that was like, Clinton was famous for that. It was like,
Right.
just, oh, polls say this, now I have this belief.
Sure. Now, yeah, there was, I guess overall, maybe there was a more respectful culture, but that was just the surface.
Tail end of it. The tail end of Yes Man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it was just the surface. If you actually dug
It is.
below,
Yeah.
it was pretty gross.
Mile
still.
deep versus mile wide.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I get that. Well, where am I on the sheet? Do I have any more? Do I do Gates?
Sure.
Okay. Kevin, yeah, I mentioned this. Kevin McCarthy talking about the real reason he was ousted.
Yeah, I don't think I saw this.
This made the news 6 days ago. So it was like right after we recorded last week, and then nobody cared anymore. But this made for about 4 hours in an afternoon on a Wednesday. This was news.
I'll give you the truth why I'm not speaker. It's because one person, a member of Congress, wanted me to stop an ethics complaint because he slept with a 17-year-old. An ethics complaint that started before I ever became speaker.
Okay, now, in his defense, he didn't say Kevin McCarthy. He didn't say Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz, but we
Could
all
be
know who he's
anybody.
talking-
I mean, it could be
But we
how
all know.
many congressmen do you think might have slept with a 17-year-old though, Alan? It could be a lot. Like,
It's possible.
That's a
It's
good-
possible. But we
Could
know
be
for
anything.
And that's
Sure.
illegal, and I'm not going to get in the middle. Did he do it or not? I don't know. But ethics is looking at it. There's other people in jail because of it. And he wanted me to influence it. And you know what? So then they come out and they say,
I made a bunch of jokes about everybody in Congress being a pederast, but he has a good point. Like, there's other people in jail for it, and he wants him. Matt Gaetz said he wanted him to influence his investigation, his
the
ethics.
ethics investigation. Yeah.
And I think I'm going to say this. I think Kevin McCarthy made the right moral decision there. And
Yeah, I agree. Although I think it's somewhat convenient for him to say that that's the reason. There's a lot of reasons he's no longer speaker, and it's easy for him to sort of fall on his sword and say, "I made the moral choice here." The dysfunction of that party while he was the head of it, is no less than the dysfunction it is currently. There were a lot of reasons he's no longer the speaker, and it's not just Matt Gaetz sleeping with 17-year-olds.
I guess that's a point. This feels like a trend of the problem. Like, that's just like, this thing's happening and here's a wave of it. There it is. That's the spike right there. That's the one that got me. Sure, the problem is like this churning pool beneath you.
Right, right.
Like, I don't know. I mean, the reason is he didn't back that guy, so they started the ouster motion of him. And that's what Big Mike's facing right now. It'll be hilarious. Like, he might not make it through this week. Well, like they said, if they do it, Democrats will probably back him up.
Probably protect him, yeah.
So then it's all performative because nobody's ever going to do it because they know the Democrats will just back him up. Or they do it and it undermines their party because they can't help it and they're fucking children. Like, I don't know. That seems plausible too, right? Like, it's so embarrassing. I hate to say this. Well, I don't hate to. I mean this. I don't know why I said I hate to say this. I miss having good conservatives to like consider as a candidate.
Yeah, somebody that
conservatives in my life. Like,
I
actually hate the fact that I don't have any that I can say I admire and would choose.
Somebody that could make a decent argument. Who could?
Well, I mean, there's plenty that can. They just don't run for office. Justin Amash.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's only a handful of politicians that you shouldn't pick over Justin Amash. I think he is like I think you should feel good about him representing you, even if you disagree on some key issues. I mean, if you're a single issue voter and that's the issue you disagree on, sure. I'm not going to persuade you, but yeah. Okay, let's get a little bit more. This is borderline on culture wars. Governor of, is it Connecticut? Sununu? Governor Sununu was on the George Stephanopoulos show on ABC, on the weekend show, ABC This Week. And this exchange takes place over a couple of minutes. I'm going to show you a segment of it. And I feel like New Hampshire, thank you. Both of these men are talking past each other.
Okay.
And depending on where you fall on the political spectrum, you'll say one of these people is doing it worse than the other. Let me just play it and then we can talk about it.
But wait a second right there. Your words were very, very clear on
just so we know. The Governor Sununu supported Nikki Haley, talked about how terrible it would be for America if Trump was elected and why Nikki Haley needed to be the nominee. And he's going to come on here. He's stated, prior to him asking for clarification in the clip you're going to hear, he stated that he would vote for Trump in 2024. And like, I get that a lot of Republicans say that, but he's been on record saying what he's about to play.
January 11, 2021, you said that President Trump's rhetoric and actions contributed to the insurrection. No other president in American history has contributed to an insurrection. So please explain, given the fact that you believe he contributed to an insurrection, how you can say we should have him back in the Oval Office.
It's not, because for me, it's not about him as much as it is having a Republican administration, Republican secretaries, Republican rules.
Alan, Republican rules and Republican secretaries. That's why it's worthwhile. Like, that's what this all comes to. Like, so here's where they talk past each other. He doesn't do, I don't think, an effective job on drilling on that and just saying, like, I like having a Republican administration. Stephanopoulos isn't doing a good enough job of saying, isn't this person exceptionally bad and avoidable enough that for one election, until this guy doesn't fucking run anymore, we don't want this candidate to be the person to like I don't like Joe Biden. If you're telling me I have to choose between the two of these people, I want not Trump in office. And I am aware of everything I don't want about Joe Biden being in office. I just, I feel like, if, it's funny, if either of these guys win, they're probably going to be in office until they die. And I feel like Trump's going to live longer than Joe Biden. So what I'm saying is, I think you'll get another election after Joe. But like, I just, Trump even said recently, he's like, I wish we could change the voting day to Tuesday. Yeah, that's just him at a rally. But like, I don't know, that's in his fucking head. That tells me that like, once he's in office, he's gonna be like, guys, don't you want me to run again? Look, they said they want me to run again. I got this poll from OAN. It says most Americans want me to run again. No, I should probably run again. Why don't we get that changed? Oh, look at that. We have a Republican controlled House and Senate. I guess we can change those rules. Like,
but so Sununu is essentially saying, I don't have any principles. All I care about is power. I mean, that's what he's saying.
Yes.
without saying it. But that's, I mean, no, I just want power for
Well,
my
why
guys.
didn't you'd think he'd bring up something more relevant like Hunter
Right.
Biden's laptop or
Sure,
like,
sure.
Ukraine or something like that, right? Isn't that a valid thing to say? This guy on Instagram was like, so who would you vote for? I'm like, well, I live in Tennessee, so it's going to be a protest vote anyways. If the Libertarians put up a good candidate, I will make sure that they get a vote saying, hey, next time keep putting up good candidates.
Right.
If they do a joke again, I guess as a protest, I'll vote for Joe Biden. Like, it doesn't matter. I live in Tennessee. It's going to be
Right.
Tennessee. And then he's like, oh, you'd vote for Biden even though this. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, do you just not have the ability to have nuanced thought? Like,
Oh God.
I know.
Yeah.
And then I realized that his name is like Bulgarian boy 1 2 3 4. I'm like, oh right, okay. You don't even know what the state probably is. Like, I don't know. He's very informed. I gotta give him that, but his informed is questionable. You know what? I feel
Since we're states
because he obviously doesn't listen if he's asking me my opinion on who I'd vote for.
rights comes first, individual rights comes first, parents' rights comes first. We're going to have a pro-business economy. We're not going to have a cancel culture that has really infiltrated all across America. It's not about Trump with me.
Don't you feel like Biden's more? I feel like if Kamala goes into office, you're going to maybe see more lean in towards cancel culture and all that kind of stuff, just being younger. I feel like Biden does not want to lean into any of the cancel culture tendencies of the left wing of his party.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird, right? Like, this is the best Democrat you can get for the things you're worried about.
And also, a lot of the people that are shouting from the rooftops they've been canceled are doing it on platforms they haven't been canceled on. So, like,
yeah, and they have a hell of a reach, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
About bringing those more.
But he will be the
die,
president.
right? I'm the governor of the live free or die state, bringing that mentality back.
That doesn't make any sense to me, Governor. I'm sorry. You're saying it's not about Trump. You're saying he would be the president. And you've said he's someone who's contributed to an insurrection.
I understand it doesn't make sense to you, George, but look at the polls. What you're telling me is you don't understand why 51% of this country is supporting Donald Trump. They're not crazy. They're not MAGA conservatives. They're not extremists. They want culture change.
But wait.
Let me play this one. I just want to play this last one because he has a snarky little end off.
Okay.
So just to sum up, you would support him for president even if he's convicted in classified documents. You support him for president even though you believe he contributed to an insurrection. You support him for president even though you believe he's lying about the last election. You'd support him for president even if he's convicted in the Manhattan case. I just want to say the answer to that is yes, correct?
Which I think is not the tactic to take. Like, because if you think that he's being mistreated, you're not going to care how many lawsuits you stack up as an argument for why. Like, your point should be, then this is when I say how Democrats suck at messaging. Like, your point should be the ethics behind those cases, not the documents case. Someone that would do those things, right? And like, this is the type of person you want to represent you. This is the person that when you could vote for anyone, you'd say, I would vote for that person. Like,
yeah,
right?
so it's the ethics behind it, also the implications of those ethics or lack thereof on decisions that they would make in the most powerful office in the land.
Right.
So that's that should be the argument. Absolutely.
Just imagine. I mean, it's like, it's something you do in private. Like, you should be able to vote and not feel like if someone asks you on TV, like, you could just be like, I'm going to vote for someone other than Trump, and I don't really care if one less vote goes towards him. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, he could say, like, I think a lot of people are going to vote for him. I, for one, won't. Like, it's weird to go up there and be like, and I'm gonna. Like, and like, okay, well, you just put yourself in this position where you're going to have to sell why that's an okay thing to do, or why that's something you are comfortable with, right? Like,
yeah, how is that going to factor with your morals and ethics that you report to have? Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, me and 51% of America.
Which I don't. Yeah. Last time I actually lost by 70 or 7
million.
7 million votes, yeah. And with RFK in the race, this might be his biggest non-win the majority. Like, even if he wins, right, and he wins the electoral college, this might be his biggest plurality. No, it wouldn't be plurality because it wouldn't be the biggest. You get what I mean?
Biggest loss of overall voters.
Yeah, but still finagled its way in. Let's move over to the left for a little bit.
Sure.
Republican secretaries, Republican rules. That was my note on that clip. Oh man, I'm excited about playing this, but I feel like such a shithead when I rip on this kid. Look, like, how many school shootings have you survived? None, right? Like,
None.
fuck me,
No.
right? But I just find David Hogg to be so obnoxious and annoying. Hogg, it's Hogg with 2 G's.
I think it's
David
Hogg.
Hogg, he was doing I think either a debate with a Q&A after, or just a town hall Q&A, and on like gun control and stuff like that. And a Chinese immigrant had this little speech set up to yell at him about, which, look, I don't think this should make your entire opinion on gun control, but I think this should be like a part of your thought process.
Hi, my name is Lily Tan Williams. Welcome to my Live Free or Die state. Actually, I am a Chinese immigrant who survived communism. And under Mao, 40 million people were starving to death after he sold communism to them. And 20 million people died, murdered during his Cultural Revolution. So my question to you, David, is that can you guarantee me, a gun owner tonight, our government in the US, in DC, will never become a tyrannical government? Can you guarantee that to me?
There's no way I can ever guarantee that any government will not be tyrannical.
Well, then the debate on gun control is over, because I will never give up my guns. Never.
Now I like this. This is like liberal. This is an example of liberalism, right? Like, they disagree. He laughed. She's made her point. Like, I know I said he laughed, and I don't think that was very rude of him. I think, like, in this, she's like, okay, you got me. Like, I would consider that a win if I said that. I'd start laughing with him. I'd be like, all right, man. Like, okay, maybe, like that's the best you can hope for, right? Like, you're never going to change someone's mind on the spot. Also, certainly not changing either of these people. Neither of these people are having their mind changed, right?
No, definitely not.
But that's a good point, right? I mean, that's the point. That's the whole reason. That's our fear of power is what we protested over in the 2000s, as the Bush administration took more and more power in the executive branch. And then you're like, hey, it's kind of weird that Obama keeps doing all these drone strikes, and then Donald Trump goes in, and it's like, nobody's stopping me from doing this shit. This is wild. Like that. Like, that's the fear, is you don't want to then say, well, Trump should go back in office and get all his retribution, because somebody even worse will pull on those levers. Like, do not put power or trust that power won't be tyrannical. So in that same way, like, I happen to think a 30-round magazine isn't outrageous. Sorry.
I mean, the history of gun control in this country, part of it happened in my backyard in Oakland, the Black Panthers, right? They decided, look, the police aren't going to protect us. The government's not going to protect us. We have to take care of ourselves. So they armed themselves, and they were in public. They were in Sacramento at the Capitol with guns because it was legal.
Yeah.
And Reagan made it illegal because he wanted to
gotta
suppress
say, if they didn't go out there and start flexing like that, we'd all still be able to carry and go.
I mean,
These
that
guys
was
got a hair in their ass, and they're like, I'm going to go walk around with this in front of the state capitol. And the next day, Ronald Reagan went and
but that was an attempt to suppress a political movement, right? And so that's, I mean, I completely understand that argument. And a lot of the guns that they banned initially were guns that poor people had access to, like your 38 specials, things like that. So I mean,
tried to shoot Gerald Ford with.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the history of what's happened with gun control in this country, you can definitely see where she's making a good point. I would argue that there are things that we could do that would improve child safety in this country. That would.
Oh, you don't think that what she said about then the gun debate is over is a
no? I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But
I was
mean,
feeling pretty good about that. I was never going to talk about it again.
It's certainly not over. No, no.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You may have a point there. Okay, Alan, I'll give you that.
Okay. All right.
I told you there'd be more Nancy Pelosi, and it's going to be down here in Best of the Left. So I think all I isolated on this is just how obnoxious her stupid old lady laugh is. And I hate saying that because, like my grandma was 93 when she passed away, and she kind of laughed the same way, but she wasn't like I don't know. There's just something about this though. It's just you're listening to it. It's gonna bug you. It might end up in the soundboard.
So
But I will say, Steve Israel, one of
I did not clip these all together. This is her laughing at the beginning and then her laughing throughout.
so. But I will say, Steve Israel, one of your great former colleagues, said about you, when you walk into Nancy's office, two things catch your eye. There are chocolates on the table and a baseball bat in the corner. And he said she's perfectly comfortable using either to baseball bat in the corner. And he said she's perfectly comfortable using either to persuade you. So on this issue of abortion,
what? So on this issue of abortion, so baseball bats,
baseball bat in the corner, and he said she's.
It's like the old smoker lady laugh a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Also, when he said there would be two things that you would notice first when you walk in her office, I was thinking something very different.
Oh, those big old mommy milkers. Man, she was a debutante. We got that picture of her doing her debutante ball and JFK, and oh boy, yeah, I feel some kind of way. Like she's a peak mid-century modern woman, Alan.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. What's that? How old do you think a debutante is? Should I not say that? Did I just Matt Gates myself?
No, I think it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, the 60s. I mean, she could be your cousin. That's when it's weird. Maybe. All right. Got away out of that. You want to hear some clips of how many times Gavin Newsom solved homelessness?
Oh, yeah, can't wait.
2008.
What we call a 10-year plan to end chronic homeless in San Francisco.
How are you going to solve homelessness? What are you going to do as a new mayor? And I say, well, what are you going to do?
Focus on a housing first model, direct access to housing. Shelter solve sleep, housing with wraparound and support services, solve homelessness.
Wraparound and support. Is this like a condom or something? Like, ribbed for the homeless for life.
Homelessness absolutely can be solved.
Laid out a detailed homeless strategy. There's been no intentionality on homelessness in this state for decades. It's not been a focus.
I don't think we can solve homelessness. I know we can solve homelessness. We will reduce street homelessness quickly and humanely through emergency action.
The highest investment the state's ever made is $1 billion on homelessness. We are poised to pass a budget in the next few hours that will provide $12 billion of investments. I can literally
Just one more lane, bro. Just one more lane. That's all we need. Then we'll get rid of this. 2022. I can literally
quantify 58,000 people that we got off the streets last year. And none of you would believe it.
This state has not made progress in the last 2 decades as it relates to homelessness. Why?
This clip's been going on since 2008.
What's so funny is that he says it hasn't made progress in 2 decades, and he was in power for like half of that.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man! And then remember, I say this all the time. He had a proposal when he was the mayor of San Francisco to replace the median strips with gardens for the homeless.
I do remember that.
You know,
I don't remember actually hearing about it. I just remember you talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and he had other things where he insisted like muffins and bagels for meetings be cut into quarters so that people can so there isn't waste. It's not a bad idea, but it sounds like I don't know. This is the guy that's going to fix everything, right? He's just going to set up some high-speed rail on the flattest part of California and oversee our budget by 100. 800.
Let's not waste bagels, though.
Yeah. Let's not waste bagels. Yeah. Gas is back in the news. Gas went up by like 20 cents over the last month or so.
Dude,
a couple weeks.
It's bad up here.
I got a clip about that.
Okay.
Well, how bad is it there? Is it over $6?
No, I paid $5.50 last week. That's still a lot.
Okay, good. I was like, it was decent. It was $5.50.
No, it's
a lot over here. It's $2.19, dude. I get it. It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
Should be like $2.85. We don't have that special California gas.
I mean, I'd be okay with $4 right now, but
yeah, they got you. So KJP is Karine Jean-Pierre was being asked about this. The Patrick DeHaan, somebody at Gas Buddy said the prices in the. You know what? I'm reading the headline here. Let me just play the clip of Karine Jean-Pierre at a press conference at the White House.
Yeah, thanks, Karine. When I asked about gas prices, they've been going up over the last month, 20 cents a gallon. Is the president considering any new actions, like releasing more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
So I don't have any new actions to read out. I will note that gas prices remain well below their peak back in 2022. I think that's important. And the average gas price right now is cheaper than this time last year. And that's because of what this president has been doing over the last 3 years, including the SPR. Look, let's not forget, jobs are up, wages are up, clean energy manufacturing is up. All of these things are incredibly important because of this president's historic investment that he has made. But I think it's important to note that it remains well below the 2022 peak, pardon
But
me.
it's only 3 cents lower than a year ago. It's up 52% from when President Biden.
Doesn't that just tell you that this, I mean, we're going into holiday travel season, like summer travel and everything, right? Like
Yeah.
it always goes up in the fucking summer. It always goes up. And we know about this. And every time they're like, the gas went up. It's the president's fault. And he's like, she's like, look, it's cheaper than it was last year. He's like, yeah, but it's only 3 cents cheaper because it's always going up this time of year. Like,
yeah.
And it's an election year. Why don't you compare it to 4 years ago? That's probably a better example of price fluctuation.
Yeah. And
Saudis like to fuck us. And the Ukrainians keep blowing up oil refineries inside Russia, which is causing the price of gas to go up too.
And
Came in office.
strategic
yeah
reserves doesn't really do that much. It's just
well, yeah, and then if he does, there's like the only way we can keep prices down is Joe Biden's releasing oil reserves. Like there's no fucking win.
yeah.
Or you could just let prices go up because things become more valuable in different environments, and this is the time of year where people like to travel, and it'll cause a demand on gas. And some of that's artificial in terms of the price inflation of it, but it is understandable, and it happens every fucking year. Then get mad at that, but don't be like, well, the president. Like I get mad at it. I don't think I've never thought this fucking president is making our gas expensive.
Yeah. There's a
I
lot.
thought Gavin Newsom did because there's a California tax because of the way they process the gas once it's in the state, or they bring it in that way. And then there's like $3 of extra just taxes. Like I blame him.
Yep.
Blame him. I don't blame the president because the cost of gas is more. Okay.
And he then talk about changes in policy to encourage future investment in oil and gas industry.
So look, the president's committed to lowering cost. He is.
That will bring down the price of gas if we let Iranian oil sell on the market. Right? What if we did that? Would that make you happy? Like,
it's something that you see
sanctions
at the center of every economic policy. When you hear him giving remarks, he's talking about lowering costs. He understands how the American people are still being squeezed. And so the reason that it remains below 2022, the gas prices, as you're asking me, is because of the historic investment that this president has made. So of course, we're going to continue to monitor and do everything that we can to answer those questions by the American people. What else can we do to lower cost? But it is important that it is cheaper. It is cheaper to get gas than it.
Did you see a moment ago when she was almost about to be like, so look, bitch, what do you fucking want? Did you almost see that the way she
almost
forward? Like
a little bit.
This is actually really good KGP.
That's
was a year ago. And that's because of what this president has been doing.
It's supposed to be best of the left. I keep doing that. Well, I think with no further ado, well, as long as I can find the sheet.
It's another battle in the culture wars. Oh, not the culture wars. They're worried about a culture war. Culture wars. Stop with the culture wars.
Really hyped that up. What sheet's it on?
Oh my God.
Anyway, I've got a great combo to bring us into the culture war. I previewed this earlier by accident. So this is a man who won a popularity contest. When I first started following his account, he had like 3,000 followers. He's up to 8,000. That's very good. That's great. That's really impressive. Can you imagine, like you have a job in Washington, D.C., and you won a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
And like you represent, like I know that there's what 538 is a number for a reason, right? Like that's the number of representatives and senators, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Something else. Electoral college. Maybe I'm making up other stuff. Votes.
Well,
Okay.
because electoral college votes are based on how many senators and House members.
Anyways, so maybe it's a few hundred, but I mean, like you're in a popularity position, and like 6 months into him being there, he had 3,000 Instagram followers. Like, that's just like, I know that's not everything. I
Yeah.
know that means nothing. I know it means nothing, but it does represent how like naturally people are attracted to like following you, right? Like, you're supposed to be a leader and nobody gives a fuck about you. And he does these stunts all the time and he's so ineffective at them. And this is a really good example of it. So this is a Kamala clip that, yes, it does make fun of Kamala, and I love doing that, but it's also a making fun of Andy Ogle's clip.
Taking their shoes off on airplanes.
So Kamala's doing an interview where this woman says, oh, people taking their shoes off on the airplane. And Kamala's going to engage with her about that. And Andy's point is, man, don't we have something better to do than be talking about shoes on an airplane? Even though that's what I'm doing right now. I'm analyzing that.
Oh God, had it completely. It's
Terrible.
awful. And then if they take their shoes off and then cross their legs so that their foot is just dangling right in front of
The
you.
aisle.
It's just- and especially if they're sockless.
Sockless on an airport.
Again, we all have moments of levity, but she is the vice president of the United States. And the vice president, who, by the way, is giving plane tickets to illegals, oftentimes.
It's like, speaking of airplanes, I guess, right? Like, what does that have to do with fucking anything, right? Like, just what he's about to say is, hey, if only you were in any position of power to demand change from her, like you're talking about her on a podcast, talking about your, and then your argument about it is to bring up a second point that has nothing to do with anything.
They have their own security checkpoint. They're getting better service from the federal government than you are.
He's saying things to make you mad. He's like, they have their own security checkpoint. Yeah. Turns out when they do this weird thing, which I'm not, going to get into the merits of flying immigrants to parts of the country, but while they're doing that, they don't just make them go through normal TSA. I kind of get that, right? And he's like, they're getting better treatment than you are. Aren't you mad? Like, it's just, he's such a bad culture warrior. It's so annoying. And he's local for me. And I expect better from people that get outraged. Like, you should get outraged by people that are better at like, this guy sucks at it. He sucks at it. Like I don't want better, but like him and Marsha Blackburn are both like, how the fuck did you guys get there? Like there's ways of pissing people off and you guys suck at it. And you're like the posters of it for our state. It's just,
This is a problem, folks. This tells you where their priorities are. They think it's okay to spy on you. I don't. They think it's okay to allow illegals in this country. I don't. They think it's okay to laugh because the rules that apply to you and to me.
By the way, like, no, nobody thinks it's okay to bring illegals into the country. What's his name? They were grilling Mayorkas. I hope it's not a clip. They were grilling Mayorkas, and he's like, I actually take offense to what you're saying. Like, my job and everything we do, he doesn't say this, but he should have said, you might think we do it poorly, but like, we go to work to stop the immigration. You're talking about bad numbers of immigration, but we don't facilitate it, which is what you're saying we do. And like, that's the implication of being like, I'm not for immigration, illegal immigration. It's like, well, right. What are you fucking talking about?
Yeah. And you saw they impeached him today as well.
Who? Mayorkas? Well,
Yeah.
they did that wait, they impeached him in the Senate or they impeached him?
No, the House took the notes of impeachment or whatever.
Oh, well, they passed it a while ago. So
Yeah,
they gave it to the Senate.
They gave it to the
Would
Senate.
Chuck Schumer wipe his ass with it?
Probably. And then I guess he's talking about 702 passing when he says they're trying to spy on you.
Yes. Yeah. I don't have anything about 702 to talk about.
We can talk about it Friday.
Yeah, I was hoping you'd talk about it Friday.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on it. Bottom line, it's 2 years instead of 5.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's something. In a world where the Patriot Act just gets rubber stamped every year, and this is a version of that, sort of, in the sense of like, you can't vote against that.
Right.
Having it not be passed for another 5 years and only another 2. Yes, we'll take a win where,
Right.
Yeah. This is like getting to first base by getting hit with the ball. You're like, okay, all right. Actually, it's not because we're not at first base. But anyway, what else do I got here? Nancy. Oh, I got more Nancy Pelosi. Last Nancy Pelosi.
Wow.
This is hey, like I said, it was 1 hour and 7 minutes. Can you forgive me? I mean, how long were the last 2 clips? 20 seconds each?
They weren't that long. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, his voice sounds better in these clips. Than
Axelrod?
Change. What are the things that are dry?
Yeah, I think Axelrod has a good voice. Dude, he's like, when you think about who he's influenced, like, he's shaped American politics.
Yeah, he has a lot. I think the last time I
You know,
listened to his show,
Blagojevich.
I think the last time I listened to his show, he sounded like RFK.
Oh, did he have it right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, he was. I mean, he was like. I mean, with Obama and all of that, but
Yeah,
like, he was. But he was like making the Illinois politicians. It like he was Blagojevich's
He was the
campaign,
kingmaker.
campaign advisor. Yeah, but he left Blagojevich. He's like he was like, why do you want to be governor? He's like, why? Because I could be governor. And he's like, no, like I might be a slimy political actor creature, but I got to do it for people that have an understanding of why. Like, you don't know why you want to be governor. Like, anyway, so this clip is not very long.
Driving that sort of sense of you're not just my opponent on an issue.
This is about he's asking her when this is a very long clip. Okay, we'll see how much of this we play. He asked her when she thinks American politics became this divisive, since she's been there forever.
But you are my enemy, or at least you have to appear to be my enemy, or my base will not tolerate it.
Yeah. You really want to know?
I wouldn't ask if I didn't.
It might take long.
Oh, no. Then
No,
forget
let me just
about it.
say, at that time,
Just give me the short version.
Just so you know what it is, at that time when we were there, we had differences of opinion, but in my leadership role, I have great respect for everybody there. And I always say that our tapestry that we want to weave as Democrats depends on everybody being in the color and the mix and the rest. So,
Okay, I'm sorry to do this, but I don't want to listen to her anymore.
Yeah, did she ever specify a time?
Yeah, she says, wait, what would you guess? What's your answer to that?
I mean, my lifespan is obviously going to have some impact on my answer, but I would say
It's your lifespan.
Okay, I would say around Clinton, around
Newt Gingrich, yes.
Yeah.
It's 100%. It's, I mean, and it's verifiable. Like, it's you can look at that through trends. You can look at that through books. You can look at that through any way you want to measure it. It came down to the Newt Gingrich, and also 92 was who's the guy that coined culture war? Oh, that's not answering that. Pat Buchanan. I think Pat Buchanan.
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah, but I mean, you think of like Pat Buchanan and Newt Gingrich and all those guys from that same time period, right? But especially Newt Gingrich, and leveraging like Rush Limbaugh and right wing radio.
Yep.
I mean, just they created that whole ecosystem, and the left tried to copy it. Remember Air America? They're like, we can do radio too. Like, it's just, you know,
Al Franken was on that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think yes, yeah, and it's just the left can't meme. You know, it's the same thing. Like, it's just they.
I think the best the left ever did was early Jon Stewart Daily Show.
Yeah. Yep. And then it eats itself, right? But at the same time, to an extent, we're seeing the right do that too with like that lady we played earlier. Like, you can't stay congruent, and well, not necessarily the right do it, but MAGA do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, MAGA is inherently unsustainable. We'll see where it goes. Could be very bad, but you know, it's. You know what else is unsustainable? The CCP. That's working out for a while, you know. So
yeah,
how long it goes on, but like, it is inherently unsustainable. But you know, so is what like obnoxious conservatives call wokeism. That's also what their version of it. That's also unsustainable. So it's just like, you know, just if you feel like there's ways things are impacting you that you want to fight back against, I understand that. But for the most part, you're probably being manipulated into being riled up over a handful of instances and examples of things that are really never going to, you know, you're still going to drive to work and have to follow the speed limit and go work for a job where your biggest concern is whether your boss has a good opinion of you or not. And then you're going to go home and hopefully have a good relationship with your spouse and watch some TV that's entertaining. And none of that's going to fucking matter most of the time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, we're supposed to be in the culture wars, and I keep hearing your garbage disposal or whatever.
Oh yeah, I hear it too.
It's just distracting for me. I'm going to use that as an excuse in case I didn't hit a home run there. I think I did.
You think you did? Yeah, you're fine.
Remember this guy Noah Roasts? He roasts historical figures.
Oh yeah, I do.
So this is timely because he's roasting the Speaker of the House or the Speaker for the Arizona Territory. So remember how they passed that whole abortion law in 1864, and then they passed another abortion law in 2022, and they were like, "Well, what do we know in 2022 that we didn't know better in 1864? That law is more important." That's like they have two laws on the book. They looked at both of them and said, "Well, we should probably go with the one from 1864
Yes.
before we could fly or drive cars."
Yeah, we reached peak.
I'm just trying to think of like philosophical thought that wasn't even like a concept at the time. Anyways, just so frustrating. But yeah, they were like, we need to go with that older law. So here's the guy that got that law into place, and this is a historical roast of him.
Hey, I'm Noah, and I roast historical figures. Today I'll be roasting Speaker of the Arizona Territorial Legislature, leader of the group that passed the law that governs abortion in Arizona right now, and putty-faced predator, W. Claude Jones. Before I start, just be aware that I will be discussing some very upsetting things that Jones did, including harm that he did to children, so be aware of that before deciding whether to continue to watch. In 1864, Jones and the rest of the Territorial Legislature passed a criminal code that contained a near-total ban on abortion that, thanks to a recent Arizona Supreme Court decision, is now back in effect. Jones had no way of knowing that he'd be controlling people's lives 160 years into the future, but based on the way that he treated the women in his life, he'd be very concerned that the law was ever not in effect. Jones was married to 4 or 5 different people in his life, of whom one was 15 years old, one was 14 years old, and one was 12 years old. Abhorrent behavior, and also so...
When I first heard him, he's like 4 or 5 different people. I'm like, well, he wasn't gay. It's like, oh no, you had to choose whether you were going to say women or girls.
Yeah.
So gross that Jones knew at least 3 ministers who would let him do that. Jones was also an enthusiastic supporter of the Confederacy and actually wrote a poem celebrating the Confederate flag. As always, it's important to separate the art from the artist and say yes, Jones was a monster, but the poem should be judged on its own complete lack of merit. Jones was unsurprisingly a habitual liar to the point where when he died, his obituaries mostly contained either false or unverifiable information. This was a man who would go out in public with children he was married to. How bad was the stuff he was trying to hide?
In his obituary, his mother was in quotes, a Spanish lady from Barcelona. He was a facile writer of both prose and poetry. Press hailed him a dauntless soldier who had served as a first lieutenant in the Florida Seminole War and was a colonel of the Alabama Regiment in the Mexican-American War. I don't know if any of that's true. Marshal, and he was a Texas Marshal. That's the Rangers I was thinking of. Yeah, these are all in quotes, by the way.
Join me next time when I'll be roasting first Canadian Prime Minister.
About that one, okay. Well, we were done there.
I wonder what Trump's obituary will look like. There's going to
Oh.
have to be a shit ton of things that aren't true in there as well, I imagine.
Normal size hands.
Yeah, normal sized hands.
Very normal size.
Biggest crowds, best crowds. Really.
6'5" to 215.
Yeah. Best president, hands down.
Normal hands down. Very normal hands.
Very, very normal.
I'm gonna skip that. Show's getting a little long. Oh, this one's kind of funny. Kid Rock was on. This is a good culture war. Kid Rock was on Fox News. So a lot of people sent this. Slickett sent it in first. One thing about it that bugs me is this. What's this lady?
Is that Laura Ingraham?
Ingraham. Thank you for saying it right. I was like, I know it's not the way people say it. People say Laura Ingram.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Ingraham. So she does stunts on her show all the time.
Yeah.
And it's obvious. Like there was one time where they were talking about the show You, and they did a whole Abbott and Costello, where it was like, I was watching You the other day. What do you mean you? You were watching me? No, not you. The show.
Yes,
You.
I
I have a show. Like it was so dumb.
It was
But-
almost like the War of the Roses on radio. Like
yeah, it was.
just stunts. Yeah.
Yes. So she's very clumsy when she does stunts, and this is very clearly a stunt. So Kid Rock is there. God, he looks old. Kid Rock is there, and he's wearing a Budweiser hat. But remember, he famously shot his "I don't support trans people" Bud Light cans.
Celebrate life. We're here for a good time, not a long time.
Joe Dirt.
Now I see you're wearing is that a Budweiser hat? Like, wasn't it a year ago, right, that you famously posted that video of, I think you were shooting some Bud Light cans after the Dylan Mulvaney controversy. So you've lightened up on Bud Light?
This is a cool hat.
It's good. Do you care? Do you need to hear more? This is a cool hat.
No, I don't. I don't.
God. It's so stupid. It's so performative, right? Like, this is a cool hat. It's got a red Budweiser bow tie on it.
I was shooting the Bud Light cans, not the Budweisers.
Yeah, it's totally different. Like, shut up,
Yeah.
lady. Yeah, it's such a stunt. It's so stupid.
It's really stupid.
Speaking of performative, this man is filming this inside an airport bathroom, and there's people walking around. So just for context, we're gonna get mad about trans people in a second, right? We're supposed to. But just the whole time he's trying to rally you up. Remember, the man who's trying to upset you is the type of person that's comfortable taking a selfie video inside an airport bathroom, an international airport bathroom.
Oh, it's not presenting.
I'm in the Ottawa International Airport, and I came to take a leak before my flight, and well, I just found some that we've reported on, but I just never really believed it was too stupid to really be real. This is, well, you're seeing backwards on my camera here, but
No, we're not.
that is,
The camera fixes that. That's just the way it presents it to you. You're not intelligent enough to understand on the fly what's happening. It's okay. I get it. Like, you get riled up easily. Oh, the dispenser looks like, so he's pointing at a tampon and what do you call them?
Sanitary pad dispenser.
Yeah, there's another word for that. What's that called?
Maxi.
Maxi pad dispenser. But the dispenser looks like it's got two eyes and a mouth. You see that?
Oh, it kind of does. Yeah.
It's like looking to the side there. Anyways, this guy's getting bent out of shape over this.
there's a napkin serviette, I think that's a maxi pad, more or less, and a tampon. I assure you, I am not in the ladies' room.
So he said, we've reported on this, but I thought it was too stupid to be true. Just like, look, I don't mean to not be funny, because I think our primary objective is to be funny. But like, you might not like this, but you have to accept the fact that you live in a world where there are people who are born a woman who prefer to be a man and want to live their life as a man and not bother you. And that person may still get a period and use a men's bathroom because of the way they want to live their life and not bother you. And the only interaction you're ever going to have is when you wash your hands, you're going to see a dispenser that confuses you.
Why should you care?
Why do you get so mad and like post a video about this?
Literally zero impact on your life.
So this is 34 seconds in. I'm going to stop it. It's a minute 16. The guy goes on to be like shaky hand and stuttery voice. And like, and
really?
He tries to hit the dispenser until they're all gone, but there was only like one left. So he's like, well, they won't have any more thanks to me. It's just like, and he keeps saying in this federally regulated Ottawa airport, you're just like, calm down. Like,
Maxi pads and tampons for men. But here we go. This is from me in the men's room at a federally regulated bathroom.
Just fucking calm down, man. Like I understand it being confusing. I do. I just don't understand getting mad.
Yeah, I don't get it either. By the way, I don't know if they're federally regulating the bathroom dispensers, but sure.
I know that's the part. That's another part. I'm like, what's your point with that, right? Like, is that just your way of saying it's important? And if that is, you seem authoritarian. Like
a little bit. Yeah.
Like, you seem to be like, freedom from me not seeing this, because I feel like he'd probably be someone that says they like freedom, right? So like,
he seems the type. The beard would seem to indicate that.
What does freedom mean to you outside of you?
Yeah, that's the problem.
All right. I know that's not like the first time someone said what I just said, but it gets me every time. Let's keep it on the trans subject. Remember, in the culture wars.
I just came out as transgender, and I'm a Christian mother. So I want you to know how it happens in my house. First, we sat down for a talk so that we could fully understand exactly what's going to go on around here. And then we went shopping and got a haircut. This is my son, Jaden. Isn't he handsome? I love you. And hey, listen, no matter who you are, if your kid comes out, you love him. It's your job. You're the parent.
I think we have a clip coming up in a second where my response to that is going to be, I'm tired of people telling me I can't imagine what it's like to be a parent. I can fucking imagine what it's like to be a parent. And I would not want to lose my relationship with my child because I think something differently than they do. And like, I can even imagine not being as flexible as I am, and going through a process where at the end of that, I'm like, yeah, but I love my son. I love my daughter. I love my, like just, I can't imagine not doing that. I can't imagine the end result not being like, I accept you and like, you're my child and I need to have my relationship with my child.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and then how can you
Absolutely.
not just like look at other people going through that and say, well, that's your thing to do and deal with, and you're their parent.
Yeah. No, that clip definitely was kind of a curveball, but it was
Gotcha.
it yeah, but yeah, that's a great clip. Great
Yeah.
clip.
I got this one. Alan sent this. This is the Freakonomics one. This is the last clip of the show, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So
Okay.
this is the one that addresses like people saying like, you
Identity
can't
politics,
imagine. Yeah,
essentially.
you can't imagine what it's like to live like me. Therefore, well, okay. Why say it better than the experts here?
And so on. But that said, much of the political and social discourse in this country and elsewhere these days is really rooted in identity politics. And I'd like to hear your comment on how costly you think that may be.
I think it comes from a good place in some cases, and comes from a sense that people's experiences and the history of certain communities had not been adequately looked at and analyzed and honored. And I get all that. But I think it's fundamentally illiberal, because it is fundamentally saying, I have this.
Is it worth pausing and talking about fundamentally illiberal, or everyone who listens to our show knows what that means? You good?
Yeah, I think let it play out, and then we can.
Okay.
But I think it's fundamentally illiberal, because it is fundamentally saying, I have this identity, and that identity trumps everything else. That you can't understand what I'm saying. And I think that if you make that argument, you're essentially making an argument against knowledge, and certainly against the Enlightenment project. The whole point is that we can all live together because I can understand your circumstances, and we can come up with solutions and policies and legislation that allow us to benefit each other and the whole.
On the whole.
Yeah, I think that's Fareed Zakaria. And
How do I know that name?
He has GPS on CNN. He's also writes for the Washington Post. He's been in media for decades.
Media
Anyways,
personality and
yeah.
Okay.
I just felt like he articulated really well sort of something I've been trying to say on the show, maybe not as articulately, but the whole Pokemon thing, right? It's just like, no, the whole point is that we can't understand, we can't empathize with other humans without having experienced their exact circumstance. We can still have a conversation. We can find ways to collaborate. We can find ways to make the world a better place. And you're just ignoring all of that progress we've made when you break it down to that little, that identity politics separates everybody.
I agree. I mean, I don't have anything to add to that other than I think I know where this all started, and I think it's what I said a second ago. I think the origin of this was all when parents said, you can't understand what it's like to be a parent, you don't have kids. Like,
yeah,
I think that was like on the smallest level where that thought spread out, and then people were like, well, you can't understand what it's like to be me. It's like, it doesn't help anybody. It's like, I can, and if I don't, you can talk to me and we can come to an understanding. Like,
right.
It does nobody any good to act like this is
like we're all on our own islands. It's because it's not the case.
Well, I mean, it works so good for the Balkans. I think I say that every time.
Sure.
Hey,
Sure.
Why not Balkanize? Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Is it time to ask a question?
I think so.
Okay. Then I already sucks about rubbing boy dogs' bellies. Before you know it, they're jacking them off. I already said that. Oh, this is kind of related to that.
Do tell.
So this is a quiz question. I've actually talked about this on the show, but I'm going to bring it up anyways because a listener sent this in, and you love forgetting things I tell you. So
I do. It's kind of my thing.
So let's see if you can get this right. So shortly after the discovery of Saturn's rings,
yes,
the Vatican librarian wrote that they were actually what part of Jesus's body, which separated and ascended to heaven? Extra points, Alan, since I can tell you know the answer. Extra points if you can give the medical term for it.
So I do know the answer. They said it was Jesus' foreskin.
Pupus, Alan.
Pupus, the foreskin, which was like, if it was Saturn's rings, it's like a million-mile wide penis.
There's a lot of directions to go into this story, and like I maybe we have new listeners, maybe you've forgotten. So in one direction, I want to talk about how there was a time period in like, I don't know, the 1400s, where there were dozens of churches that claimed to have the true pupus.
Yes.
So the Vatican sent like an archdiocese or somebody out, a moil probably, to verify which one was the real.
They had to get the authenticity stamp.
Which
Yeah.
you got to think they did it by taste, right? Like, I swear to God, I think taste came into this. Like, maybe that's just me being a silly boy when we talked about this the first time, but that's in my head. But just imagine being like, no, that one's not the real one. This one's the real foreskin of Christ.
The real foreskin.
But that's
right next to the Shroud of Turin.
Right. That's one direction to go with this. The other direction to go is that they had like a fucking like a meeting of the minds. What do they call that? Like a council.
Yeah.
Where they had to decide. So that was a part of the body of Christ. This is holy, right?
Yeah, it had to ascend to the heavens.
Like, do his toenails descend to like does every former part of his and then does it do that from where it is? So what they settled on was that at the time of his ascendance to heaven, the foreskin and him left from where they were up into the heavens. But there's a problem with that, because the story is that some woman saved the foreskin and preserved it in like amber or something and like honey. So like, did it like leave from its like trapped box, and like, did the lid open up and it floated up? Like, and did it like, they were probably coming from two different points on Earth. So is one going at a faster rate than the other so it can meet him in heaven at the exact same moment? Like, there's so many like
transubstantiate.
Time to transubstantiate. Should we go out with that? I'll look that up.
That was great.
What is that? Vatican rag?
Yeah, Vatican rag.
Okay. Do you want to watch that really quick with me, and then we'll go
Sure. Yeah.
separate ways for the evening?
For sure.
Drive safe.
Cheers. That was fun.
That was fun.
Recently, there has been a great deal of ferment in the Roman Catholic Church involving more liberal changes. In particular, they have permitted the use of vernacular language instead of Latin in portions of the Mass. They have made optional the eating of meat on Friday. This pleased me very much, because I've always felt there was a basic inconsistency in the church dogma there. You see, it was all right for a soldier to kill a man on Friday, but it was a sin to eat him. So, also, they have permitted the use of some secular music in portions of the liturgy. And I think that last was a particularly good idea, and inspired me with the thought that if they really want to sell what they have to sell, what they should do is redo some of the liturgical music in real popular song forms. So I tried one with the ragtime form, and it is called the Vatican Rag. First you get down on your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Do whatever steps you want if you have cleared them with the pontiff. Everybody say his own Kyrie eleison, doing the Vatican Rag. Processional, step into that small confessional. They're the guy who's got religion'll tell you if your sin's original. If it is, try playing it safer. Drink the wine and chew the wafer. 2, 4, 6, 8. Time to transubstantiate. So get down upon your knees, fiddle with your rosaries, bow your head with great respect, and genuflect, genuflect, genuflect. Make a cross on your abdomen. When in Rome, do like a Roman. Ave Maria, gee, it's good to see you. Getting ecstatic and sort of dramatic, and doing the Vatican Rag.
I'm done. I'm stopping the show, Alan.
Cheers, man. That was fun.
Cheers.